Why, hello there, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Spilled Koolaid, and you don't know the flavor. Episode number 5. We got a pretty good cast, a lot of returning guys here. I don't think anybody's new to the podcast. But let's introduce everybody. So first and foremost, we got to introduce this guy first, since he came up with the name of the podcast. He is our reigning, defending, undisputed FGFL champion. He is Mr. Daddy. He is my fellow Brutane clan member, one half of the Bruise Bros himself, the head coach of the Bears, Krack. What's good, fam?
Dang, I almost forgot I won that ship. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh, wait, you won an FGFL championship? Damn. I just said it and I forgot. Shit. But next,
it's been so long ago.
Yeah, welcome to the I just remembered I won a bowl club.
We also have Mr. Shits County, bruv. Believe you were on the last episode, matter of fact, when I was like kind of down in the dumps. But Mr. County, bruv himself, hailing from Wales. That man, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mr. Todd. What's up, Todd?
Not too bad. Everyone's least favorite CJ impersonator is back for another week.
Lego. Next up, we got... Man, I ain't trying to be like that to him, but the guy who went 0-17 last year, got his first one of the season, like first game of the season, and actually the contributor of my first one of this season, the head coach of the Houston Texans, Mr. Derrick. What's good, fam?
Not much. I probably mentioned this before in this whole group thing here. I am a little bit out of the weather, but I'm gonna gut it out. Get you that.
You a real
Get
one.
some great
honestly.
content for the Spilled Koolaid.
Man's out here thugging it out, even though he's sick. And last and certainly not least, the man who has adrenaline in his soul. One of the two contributors to the FGFL draft classes. The quarterback for the Detroit Lions, Icepick. What's good, fam?
Just another relaxing Sunday.
Hell yes. All right, so we got a good amount of topics for today. We're going to talk about the Bears and Jags trade that Krack orchestrated, finally getting rid of Laremy, Tunsil, after just hanging him out there for everybody. But he finally got rid of him. The Bears are finally really starting their rebuild. We're going to talk about some Eagles fan Jr. and Todd drama that transpired over the past few days. We're going to talk about Derrick's plans at the quarterback position after trading for Chance Goldtree and putting J.C. Rochelle on the practice squad. We're going to talk about the Lions trading for John Franklin Myers and Icepick's thoughts on that. We're going to talk about the Rams finally getting a fucking victory, thank the Lord. And our biggest surprises in the league so far this season. But first and foremost, we got to talk about the big news. So for those of you guys who haven't really been paying that much attention, after losing a very, very good game, by the way, Lance kind of rage quit the league for like 3 hours. Now, granted, I'm not going to give him shit because it's not really my business to put that out there, but Lance is going through some other things, and I think he didn't handle it well. He didn't handle like all the shit that was happening well. So I'm not trying to shit on him and nothing like that, but I mean, it happened. And as a result, quarterback Pineapple Pete Leco decided to request his release, and he was granted his release from the Patriots. There was a little bit of a sweepstakes to get Leco. Actually, as contradicting as it was the things I said about getting user players before, I was actually very heavily in the mix for Leco. And actually, Leco was very close. Like, literally, I was a coin flip away from Pete Leco being my starting quarterback. But went the other way, for worse or for better, and Pete Leco is now a member of the Giants. And not only that, but FG is cooking up some things for the Giants as well. He had a lot of big trades go down. He had a blockbuster trade with Pepperjack in order to get Justin Jefferson. He traded me Alfonso Adams Thompson, aka Rat. So I get a replacement for Julius Bailey finally, so hopefully he does well for me. He got Jordan Nimmo from Todd. He got Masai Dickerson. No. Todd got Masai Dickerson. My fault. Why did I read Chiefs?
You got your side
Giants and
dick?
Chiefs? All right.
Hey, yo.
I'm tired of this one. He got Charles Wilson. My fault. Charles Wilson from the Jets. He also got Greg Newsome from the Bengals. And I already mentioned Jay Jettas. He got Jared McBride from the Patriots, giving up Derrick Henry to get him. He got Josh Uche. So he's feeling kind of oozy now. And then he made a trade sending Chance Goldtree over to the Texans, which we'll talk about later on. But let's talk about the Giants real quick. Obviously, Leco's first watch game, it didn't look good. And now the Giants are 2-3 after losing. Pretty good game against the Vikings. So we're going to start with Mr. Daddy himself, Krack. What are your thoughts on the prospects for the Giants the rest of the season?
Well, I'm pretty sure I've been quiet on that division. I haven't had much to say. Sure, I haven't mentioned that they've been basically missing a coach every single year for this round of FGFL. And I think maybe if I have mentioned anything, it was a quick mention that obviously RSV has failed to win a division where nobody's really competing in there. But it was probably only once or twice. I don't think I've went on and on about it. FG saw the opportunity to jumpstart the rebuild instead of slowly put it together and set it up for somebody to come take over. I think him putting his touches on it the way he has, seeing what he was able to do, I think it's got him excited to where he's not going to want to give up this team, which I actually think is good for the league. I think it's really good for that division to at least have all the coaches competing there. I want to say this probably hurts Aqua the most.
I agree.
I give RSV some grief, but RSV is still putting together a good team. I'm going to just give him crap just because he's at the head of the mod meetings that ends up yelling or making changes because of me. So I don't like the whininess there, but
I don't know if he's
I think RSV is putting together a solid team to where he's finally going to show what I've heard he can be. Jahar, he's made some pretty impressive moves. I still don't think Lamar's the answer, but I think it's going to get him to a spot to where he can maybe be a couple players away from competing consistently. FG, this dude's going to pull rabbits out of hats, asses, cards, whatever the hell it is. This dude's going to make magic happen. So that division leaves only Aqua at the bottom because Tua's going to want too much money for him to resign to keep having these semi unrealistic, horrible, historic performances.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, I've never personally had an issue. I know he has a lot on his plate, so it's like it's understandable that he doesn't want to be. But it's like if he wanted to take the interim tag on it, I think if he was willing to like just not, maybe like just make some kind of contingency where he can't just draft whoever wants to draft type shit. It's like even then, it's like, you know, I wouldn't have that much of an issue with head coach, and if he wants to take the interim tag off, I'm here for it. But I mean, I agree with pretty much everything you said. That's correct. I think FG being in the league and like building up the Giants to where he can, even if he chooses not to continue to be the coach after this season, you know, whoever takes over the team is going to be in a great position. He's not setting them up for failure at all, except maybe Leco like only having 1 year contract after this year. But even then, it's like, you know, he's in a good position where he's a quarterback away. There are plenty of people who are willing to trade their quarterbacks if they, well, myself included. But yeah, I agree. I think FG there's a lot more good than bad that can come from FG coach of the team. But we'll go to Todd next. What are your thoughts on the Giants and just the NFC as a whole?
Right, my thoughts on the Giants are clearly they're in a good spot. The competitive window's completely changed, obviously, with Leco as the quarterback now, and we know Pete Leco likes to complain now and again, so there's going to have to be changes to accommodate Leco and Leco wanting to win now and wanting to, you know, be in the playoff hunt. But the team now, thanks to some trades made by FG, like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Nemo, like completely overhauling the wide receiver core, trading for Jared McBride, so there's another good young piece that grow with Leco, and doing a lot on defense by getting in like Greg Newsome and Jeremy Wilson. There's a lot more to like about this Giants team now, for either FG to stay as the coach, or for, if FG doesn't want to, someone new to come in and be the coach of the Giants and be a lot happy with the spot they're in, rather than the whole issue of the team being complete fucking ass after Meals abandoned the team because he made one bad pick.
And if you watched like how Justin Washington was playing, even like in the watch game against the Saints, it wasn't bad. Like, he was a good, like, if Meals actually wanted to take the time to build around him, you know, and would have been fine. But I mean, not to cut you off, Todd. Like, you continue saying it.
Yeah, my thing was, like, obviously we've seen Justin Washington can be a very good watch quarterback.
Yeah.
The issue with Justin Washington is that he's a 65 normal development quarterback, so he's probably not going to be able to develop to the point where he's a consistently good sim quarterback. That's the thing that Leco gives this team now, is that they're set at quarterback as long as FG or whoever comes in as the coach is able to get a contract extension done with Leco. The offense is stacked to the fucking gills.
Yeah.
The thing that's missing is an offensive line, and we've seen that. Well, if you know where to scout in the group of 5, offensive linemen are very draftable.
Oh, more so than last year. Definitely more so than last year.
Yeah, like, as long as you know where to look in the group of 5, it seems like you can find good offensive linemen down the board and not have to use top picks on them. And obviously, there's quite a few top picks gone because of trading for Justin Jefferson, because that's going to take up quite a lot of assets to do, because as much as we clown on him, the Duke of Jack, he does like to have picks until he doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I gotta be honest, I think that's all I really got to add on the Giants, is that they're clearly set up for the future, whether FG wants to be the coach or not. I think their moves move them in off the bottom of the division for sure, like what Krack was saying. I don't know really what Aqua's plan is, because 201's a lot of money, clearly, and this team isn't really set up to be a sustainable contender.
Oh.
Like, DeAndre Ward's good. Obviously, Devon Achan's good. Stephon Diggs is good, but he's aging. Bernard Martinez is going to be a beast as long as Aqua is willing to finally commit to him as the wide receiver 1 and put him in the slot, rather than, continuing to try and feed the regressing Stephon Diggs. Like, they've got good DBs, but there's just so many holes on this roster, and I don't have much faith in Aqua's ability to put the right pieces around what he's already got.
And look, not to pile on Aqua, but it's like Aqua's giving me like big shit by like having him as like a lower tier coach and having the Eagles that as they were. They're 1-4. They're right down there with me in right now at 1-4 in the NFC. And the NFC is tough, so it's like you're 1-4. Like, not to make it about like me or like Dan or anybody like that. It's like Aqua's like in the same boat as we are, except I don't know that his schedule is as hard as mine, but 1-4 in the NFC right now. All the good teams we got there, it's going to be a slog for any of us 3 to get up there. And as tough as my division is, and as tough as Dan's division is with a Husker and Clover in there, East is going to be an absolute slugfest, because RSV is like 3-2, Justin's 3-2, FG is 2-3 now. Like, it's going to be a slog. It's going to be an absolute slog from. And again, I think out of the difference between him and us is like, obviously, like, Dan doesn't have his first. I don't have my first either, but we have our quarterbacks potentially. I know Art Henry hasn't looked great so far this season, but it's like he's not in the negatives when it comes to turnovers like that. And he had a good game against the Texans. Sorry, Derrick. And then Tim Bradford has shown that he can play, so it's just like we're not as in dire straits as Aqua is, because Aqua's going to have to pay Tua a lot of money to keep him on the team. So Aqua's like in a lot more trouble than us two, like even at 1-4. But we'll see what happens. Derrick, thoughts on any thoughts on the Giants or the NFC East in general?
Man, the NFC Beast division might be taking off here. I don't know. The way FG makes moves, he does have thought there is a process to it, and try and trust it, even though he's not Joel Embiid. But that's a whole nother different game, whole nother different sport. But the Commanders, I don't know, maybe they've fallen maybe a little bit back to reality. But as long as you have that connection, Sheldon Morris to the April showers, give them Zay Flowers, even though it's not really within their powers.
Bars.
I know, I'm trying to do a little bit of bars.
I'm proud.
Yeah,
I'm proud,
Aqua with Tua, Lefty's going prehistoric. So I mean, I could do some rhymes too. I'm just not that really good at it.
So we getting the Kaz
But
and
then
Derrick
Jay Har with Lamar or something like that. Which last time we saw them, a fantastic game against the Chiefs, which we'll probably talk about that later on. Todd.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about it a little bit.
But I kind of agree with everything. I mean, maybe with Tua's contract gonna be coming up here soon, he's gonna be expecting a
47 to 50 million, and that's on a friendly.
It's not to jump the gun or anything like that, but Derrick, if that's somebody you want to go after this year, I feel like I might be wrong. Your cap situation looking pretty good after this. I'm just saying, if Tua's out there,
I don't know, but definitely with anything with the NFC Beast divisions, I'm calling it for the NFC East. There's only like two words that really stand out. Always interesting.
Always interesting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it could be anybody's division if Jay Hart keeps making like little minor tweaks, something like that. If he keeps giving it to Rob Fitzner, I mean, there's a reason he was one of the top picks from the previous draft. And if Washington's got to find a way to step up, or how about this, Washington, feed the ball to Nick Chubb. That's something you got to do more of. Take some of that burden off of Shelton Morris. And I kind of understand like why FG decided to trade for Leco. I mean, what we saw from Washington, I mean, like a prototypical game manager. We saw that game against the Saints, so that, but he was doing good. I mean, I can see the reason why the upgrade, but I could also like see a reason as to stay with Justin Washington, really see what he has, and then the Eagles have their own dealings.
Yeah. Icepick, anything to add, my guy?
Well, I'm gonna be the person that's completely different here. Even though you trade for Leco, I don't think Leco is the long-term answer QB for them, which may be a controversial take for some. But obviously, we saw one game with him, and Leco was not good. And here's something that obviously this is being recorded on Sunday. Last night, Saturday night, I was in DC with FG and a few others, and we got looking at the traits to quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and we found that, we found that generally the quarterbacks that are good and watch have either ideal or average forced passes. They've got ideal or average sense of pressure, and they also have tight spiral. Pete Leco is missing tight spiral. And that's something, one of those three things missing has been common in the quarterbacks that are generally bad and watch. And the ones that are good have all three of those.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like that outrageous. Less about like what his like player looks like, but more about the fact that like Neon already asked for a trade Patriots at the end of the season last year. So if he does it again, well, you're doing that to the commissioner of the league. That's not going to bode well. See, if you would have signed with me and then did some shit like that, you're only like pissing me off, really. But then again, you're also making yourself look bad because it's the second time you asked for a trade. So, I would say if if it doesn't pan out for Leco with the Giants, his long-term prospects ain't looking great outside of the fact he's I don't know, like, you guys pretty much covered it more or less. I definitely think the Giants got a shot at winning this year. My only concerns for the Eagles, or for the Giants currently, is like just the corner room and like the line. The other two big issues. Obviously, they have like a lot of low guys there, but we'll have to see what they do in Sim. Obviously, like, the only game we saw with them having Leco at quarterback was a watch game. That was a watch game that we watched like as part of this hour, where it's like we only saw the fourth quarter of him. We see a full game of him with the Giants. Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, you do have Justin Jefferson there. You have a few other weapons in that offense. He's reunited with Jared McBride after he ended up trading me Rat. He traded Henry away as well. So we'll have to see what happens, honestly. But Giants definitely have a bright future. I don't know if they're going to do it this year with how good the Commies and the Cowboys are, but we'll have to see.
It would also just make another point here that little like witching hour thing we saw, that was his first game. That was Justin Jefferson's first game. There's a whole lot of people's first game.
Yeah.
Or something like that with the team. And there's that like chemistry or something like that. It's like very low. They still got to try and build that up.
Yeah, they still have
to.
Like,
that was also probably a factor to why it was bad. But they'll pick it up. I got a feeling about that.
Yeah, and plus after this season, they could always like fix the scheme or get a better playbook to thrive in. But we'll leave the conversation about the NFC East there. Next thing we're going to talk about is the Bears making a big trade with the Jaguars. And obviously, like, Krack and Troy, they had their squabbles like season, but I feel like they made a trade that was pretty even. I know Krack's not gonna like that, but I'm gonna say it regardless. But it was a pretty good trade for both guys, like for what they want to do. And it's like, if anything, again, Krack, I'm sorry, but I feel like you won the trade in a lot of ways. I'll outline the trade for you guys.
Sorry then.
Well, I don't know, but
I know why. Don't worry.
Yeah. But yeah, so the trade.
It's time. It's over. You good.
So the trade was Tyler Lockett and Laremy Tunsil and a 6th in 2027 to the Jaguars for 2/3 in 2027. Jonathan Cruz and Brett Kirkland. Mm-hmm. So my issue. I'm gonna let Krack take it from here, but I just want to like make my point of why I think the Bears won this trade. So Krack has been floating Tunsil out pretty like both in Discord and like during commentary and whatnot all season. He's 31 years old. He is a 95 overall, sure. But he's been floating him out all season because, he's not part of the future. Bears won their chip last year, and now they're going to rebuild in order for another one in the future. Tunsil's not going to be a part of that because it's going to take the Bears maybe a year or two, and you already know how Madden progression and regression goes. Tunsil is going to be like a 90 overall, like in a year or two. And Lockett, he's 32 years old, 86 overall. There's not much left he can really do for the Bears anyway, so Pratt got picks for him. He got a running back who, albeit is a normal dev, but we've seen running backs go from normal. Obviously, it's going to be harder for Cruz because he's behind CMC currently. But it's like, future-wise, we'll see what Cruz can do. Kirkland's a superstar, which obviously O-linemen dev like garbage in this game. But you never know. If he has some good games, like he doesn't give up too many sacks this season if he's a starter, he could get to like a 77. Like he can get a bunch of upgrades this offseason. So, and then obviously you get 2/3 and you only give up a 6. I think that was a good deal for Krack. My problem with the trade for Troy is I don't know that the Jaguars Look at their record. They're 1-4 currently. They're more or less having a toilet bowl game against the Texans. Again, no disrespect, Derrick, but it's like you guys are both 1-4. I don't know that you're going to get out of that division, the Colts being as good as they are, getting a wild card with 3-3-2 teams in the AFC West. You have 2 4-1 teams in the AFC North. You have Dolphins, Bills, and Patriots all contending in the AFC. Getting even a wild card is going to be a slog for them. So I don't know. I mean, it certainly will help them if they're trying to contend this year, but and it's like obviously you have like 3 more years left of these guys. I just don't know how good of it is, especially considering Troy just traded DJ Moore, like, so getting Lockett to replace him, like, well, what are you gonna do with Trice and the other guy's name is escaping me. It's not Shark. It's what's his name? The other guy who has like an NFL player's name, but overall,
the
I gotta look it up.
You talk about the Jaguars, their
Yeah.
other wide receiver?
Yeah,
TJ
Basham Jr.
Basham, that's who it is. Yeah, I mean, you have Basham, you have Bryce there, so it's like Lockett's just gonna be your slot guy. I mean, you could definitely do a whole lot worse in the slot. It's definitely better than Sam Newton or Puka Nacua in this game because Nacua. When we started this series, like we started this FGFL before Nacua just started popping off the Rams, so obviously he's a low overall guy, but I don't know. It's like I can see where Krack is going, and I can see what Troy is trying to do. But Krack is like definitely much more close to what he's trying to do. Troy is. That's why I feel like Krack won the. But Krack, the floor is yours. I'm gonna let you talk about like what your vision was with trade and future prospects, because it's not as if the Bears are like dead in the water and like that. You guys are like very much in the race, but you have been saying that you're rebuilding, so it's like I'm gonna let you spit.
Okay. All right, so we all know that I like to troll, and
wait, you like to troll? What?
It's like a lasagna. My trolling has many layers.
It's like an ogre.
So my whole entire team, with the exception of Dusk, has been on the trade block. Now, obviously, I got some players that you would have to give away the farm to get. I mean, CMC, I would take a big cap hit to get rid of him. So you're going to pay me to take that cap hit if you really want him.
Facts.
But you getting CMC and he's under contract. So it goes both ways. Chet, you're still going to have to pay me because that's my guy. I can just keep tagging every year. And I don't have to worry about paying him 45, 46, 50 million for unhistorical performances like Tua. I could just keep doing my thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Tua might get tagged too, but his tag's probably going to be a little bit different. I had interest in Tunsil, including one of the coaches that is in here. Everybody knows I was looking for a first for Tunsil. I mean, he's a 95. I know he doesn't have the X Factor. Everybody's so obsessed with X Factor.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. Let me ask you this. Out of all the playoff teams we saw last year, the team with the least amount of X Factors on their squad won the bowl. I had the least. I had 3, and they're all on offense.
I think I
wait. You won the bowl last year?
Wait.
The Bills,
Krack,
I think, had 4 or 5.
I gotta dispute that real quick because I only had 2 last year.
Oh, you were in the playoffs?
Oh, you said fuck you. I didn't know you said. I didn't realize you said playoff teams. You got it. You're right.
Anyways, I had 3 total X Factors. I believe I had 4 superstars.
Yeah.
And the rest were stars. The fucking Bills defensive line had all those combined just on the defense, not even counting the offense.
Yeah.
Just their defense had the X Factors and the superstars that my whole team had. People are too obsessed with trying to get all of them. You got to get them in certain spots that fit your team. Some teams, the quarterback needs to be an X Factor. Some of it don't. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love for Chet to be an X Factor, but he's not. Okay? So I had certain people reaching out to me. Todd was one of them. Todd made me a pretty good offer. He was looking to see if he can get what he could to go ahead and get me what I was asking for. He did it. Todd went with the offer that he thought, he worked best for his team. He didn't realize that he maybe could have came to me with that offer, and I might have accepted it. And here's the thing. I'm trying to build relationships with coaches through trades. So there might be a time where I take a little bit less for a coach that I like or that's been easy to trade with. Me and Troy, we don't even think we've really had battles. We've gone at it verbally, but it's never been any hate. I respect Troy. I like Troy and stuff. He takes things wrong in text. I take things. It's never been where I'm like, no. Troy's been a little bit hard to trade at sometimes when we're like, hey, I want this person. I'm like, okay, he wants him too. But we can't get shit done. It's like, well, give me time to think. Give me time to think. I don't like that. So this time I gave him time to think. He even apologized because he didn't get back with me when he was supposed to, but he had family in town. I don't care. Stay. Don't worry about this trade. You got family. Spend time with family. So it came time to where I'm saying here. I seen that Todd kind of got rid of stuff. I was like, okay, well, he gave up 3 2s and a third. Not what I was looking for, but that would have been something that would have been nice for me to help my rebuild. I probably would have took that. Kept saying Tunsil was out there. Nobody else was really hitting me up except for the people that did kind of at the beginning of the season. I had an offer for a first and a fourth, but it was to a team that's already stacked that I really kind of don't want to help anymore. It's nothing against the coach. I mean, I've given the coach grief, but they got a team. I'm not going to just. What's the point of winning the bowl if you win it with a super team?
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
I'd take more pride. Don't get me wrong; it's fun to win regardless. But if you have a true super team that on paper, what's the point? Like it's no.
Because at that point, anything.
I didn't care. Plus, that the assets still would have been like late first to basically early second. So I end up kind of putting a little pressure on Troy. I said, "Hey, look, are we ready to get this done? What's going to happen? Blah blah blah." I've told him who I wanted from the beginning, which was J.K. Dobbins is a free agent this year, so I need a replacement for him. I take a 2-hit overall with Dobbins to Cruz, but Cruz is a lot younger. He's going to be a lot cheaper. He's under contract. So with me losing Dobbins, I don't have to re-sign some veteran running back that's in the 80s and pay him $4 or $5 million a year. I got a guy on 1.5, if not cheaper. I think it's like 1.19. And let's be honest, even at just normal, I think he's normal. He's still gonna get 1 to 2 points every year. So by the time it comes time for me to re-sign him, he's probably going to be an 84, 85. That's perfect. That's right as CMC goes. I could pay him then to go ahead and kick it, or I can let him go, or I can trade him. Tunsil's going to want 30 plus million for a 1 to 2 year deal coming up.
Fuck that.
Now, I was willing to sign him because I should have north of 100 million, and offensive line does matter. But if I could put 15 million into 2 other spots for that 30 million, I'm going to do that. So I give me a superstar guy who, like you said, very well could level up pretty quick. And I believe he was actually a star when he was drafted.
Yeah.
So he's already upgraded to a superstar. So if I put him in the right spot, he maybe could upgrade again. If not, he's still going to get up there in the next 2 to 3 years. Hopefully he's close to an 80. What people don't realize is I now have 4 offensive linemen that are superstar or better, that are the low to mid 70s. So here in a couple of years, I could have an O-line that has all 80s superstars. So I'm cooking. So I really wanted them. Cruz I really liked, though. Cruz was one I kind of wanted to draft. So I kind of had a little bit of I wish I would have got him in that. And then Troy goes back to the very first Spilled Koolaid to where I said he's missing that sure-handed receiver. Now, don't get me wrong. I put that out there in the universe, hoping he would listen to it and he would hear it and come back because we had Lockett discussions earlier in the year. And the asking price was kind of here and there, here and there. He was willing to give me a second. It's just it wouldn't be until later. So we came up with the 2/3. Like we're talking distance, and he wasn't wanting to give away this year's second. So I went with 2/3. I was good with that. So essentially, I get 2 players, 2/3. It was going to be a 7th I was going to give him back, but I didn't have one, and I wasn't going to try and make the deal crumble since I was the one putting the pressure, because that was kind of my sweetener to, hey, let's get this deal done. I'll throw in this draft pick. So since I didn't have the 7th, it's like, you know what, you're getting a 6, because he's like, you know what, it doesn't matter if you have to go a year out. No. It was my mess up for not knowing my draft pick, so I'm not going to make this man pay. I'm going to give him a little extra. So now he knows, you know what, okay, so he ponied up a little bit more than he wanted to. Maybe in the future we can continue to trade again. So that's all it is. I think I won. He thinks he won. He's getting a left tackle that hopefully should secure his O-line. that hopefully could help Loudermilk have some better stats this year. Hopefully get a little bit more experience, a little bit more dev upgrades. So that's what that is. Obviously, with Lockett playing the slot, he's the perfect guy. Even if he is regressing, he's going to be better than anybody else that's out there at the slot, except for maybe I guess there's really nobody probably in free agency unless you go with Jawan Jennings, but nobody's going after him.
Well, I'm just
That'd be the
saying.
only other solid slot. So I know what he's doing is to try and get upgrades. And if he has the cap space, he's going to re-sign Tunsil for 1 or 2 years. That's going to be his star as he builds the rest of the line. He'll still be a 90. So
I'm just
I
saying.
think it's win-win for both. But I was worried it looked like a fleece on paper. I was interested to see what the actual trade calculator for FG that he created came out to. I haven't heard what the points differentials on that. I know the mod calculator was a little lopsided. I won't give out that information, but I think it was a win-win for both of us.
I mean, I think it definitely trends towards it or another. Like, I think if I had to pick a winner, trade because get rid of Tunsil, who's on a one-year deal. Get rid of Lockett, like clear up a lot of cap space or whatever. So I definitely think like it is a win-win. My only concern is if Troy can sign Tunsil back, because Tunsil's on the last year. It's like if he ends up not being able to bring him back, like yeah, you can tag him. I don't know how much that's going to cost on D line or the O line though. So I don't know. Like I feel like if Troy feels like he can contend for the next 2 years, bring Tunsil back, it'll end up being a good deal, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like I trend more to saying, but overall, it wasn't like an egregious, like you just blew him out in the trade, like regardless of anything. Like, like as far as like common sense goes, you've been saying that you, and
yeah, nobody wants to believe it. I'm showing it. Like I don't think I'm like doing a full like from the floor up. I don't need that, but
I think it's more of a retool.
I put everything into the middle to go for the win last year. And let's be honest, I've been talking about how people think they're a player away and then they're going for it. I don't even think I was a player away, but I still went for it. I'm new. I had to make a splash. And if it didn't work out, I don't think anybody would have paid too much mind. They'd be like, oh well, it didn't work for Krack. I'm new. Nobody would have really cared. But it worked out. I had a lot of luck.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, even that 3-2, like it's not like one of those "I told you so" things, but it's like it's not that I don't think that you're attempting to rebuild. It just for me, I feel like it's more so, like it's more of a retool than a rebuild. Like you're kind of like where I don't think you're gonna suck anytime soon. Like I think your team is always gonna be here, but I don't, which is why I don't know if I can call it a true rebuild. It just seems like more of a retooling to me. So it's like terminology, semantics. That's all it is. I feel like.
Yeah, but rebuild sounds so much better when I come back and win my second championship than a retool.
Yeah, you know what? I can't argue with that. That's valid as fuck.
In my division, I very easily could finish first. I don't want to say last because for whatever reason the Packers are floundering, but they've had a tough schedule. I think we all have one. Yeah. I mean, I could go first to last, most likely third. If I finish third this year, don't worry, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to leave the server.
Good.
I'm going to be back next year because here's the thing. I've proven that I could put a team together. I've proven that I could draft some kind of obvious guys. I haven't proven that I could find the studs, and I know that's my weak spot. And realistically, what I'm now trying to do is I'm trying to do the next phases. So if we do a different version of FGFL, if the newer version is better or like somewhere down the line, I'm trying to become the complete coach.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not there yet. So that's why I don't deserve that S tier. That's why I still think I'm a B tier. Because I haven't shown I got a ship. If you guys want to keep me S, I'm good with that. But still.
I'd say A. I don't know if I'd say S tier, but I'd put you at A. I'd put you at A.
And I'm good with that. It's just I have stuff to work on and I'm doing that. So I'm tinkering. I mean, I threw up a playbook and a scheme in the witching hours before the season. It was a Hail Mary, just say, oh well, let's screw it. Let's see what this does. I'm not even running a scheme that I really want to this year. I'm just like, let's have some fun with it. And
you're playing with house money.
You can't tell me that shit was fun to watch. Sorry, Rambo, but that shit was fun.
Yeah, you guys look so much fuck angles and Steelers. Ain't gonna bring up. Yeah, like you guys definitely look a lot. So I'll go to Todd. We'll talk about the NFC North in general, Ice in this. So actually, let Icepick go. So, Ice, obviously you play for the Lions. Obviously, like CJ, hooking up some. All 3-2. What are your thoughts on the prospects of the Bears kind of taking a bit of a step back? So it's like currently the Packers are 0-5. You know, crazier things have happened. They could turn around, but it's like really it's going to be between you, the Vikings this year. Like, what are your thoughts overall in the division?
I think right now the Vikings are the top team in the division at the moment. And I think that us and Krack are fighting it out for second. I think the Packers, for whatever reason, are dog shit this year.
It's like, sorry to cut you off, but it's like as much as I shit on the Rams for how bad we've been so far this year, obviously the Packers at 0-5 are doing worse, and it's like I think that's a bigger surprise to like most of the league than like us not doing as well as we're doing. Us doing like not as well as I thought we were gonna do, but yeah. That's like the Packers being 0-5 is a shock. But go ahead, that's my dad.
Yeah, so I think us and the Bears at this point in time are fighting for second. Now, we have a game this tomorrow or Tuesday, whenever it is, I forget. I can look at this stream agenda real quick.
I can definitely be commentary. That possible?
It is Tuesday.
Yeah, because we're doing scouting tomorrow, that's right.
Yeah, Tuesday, Thursdays. We got a game against the Vikings. You know, they beat us the first game 2 weeks ago. You know, after that game, we decided to. And that was only even though it went to Sim, we ended up coming back in Sim and only losing 24-16.
Yeah.
And after that game, we changed our offensive playbook from Buffalo to Cincinnati.
Which I think is
that should fit me a lot better with not having literally all our passes being play action, which is, you know, one of my two weaknesses at this point. So we'll see what happens when we play them on Tuesday. Who knows? If we beat the Vikings, maybe we drag them back down and this is a three-way fight again.
It's possible. I mean, Bubba Jeffries is still hurt, so it's like he was like their main
4 more weeks, I think.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely a chance for both guys. There's like a little bit of catch up here, possibly catch. Obviously, they lost week 1 to the Raiders, and so still a very good team there, but it's definitely possible. I mean, you guys are literally a game behind them, so like, you know, if you get this one, you get your lick back, you're gonna be tied for first in the division. Bears ain't gonna be too far behind you. But we'll go to old Toddy Boy and then Derrick. Thoughts on from the outside looking in, Bears and just like the division.
Okay, so I'll start off with the Laremy Tunsil Tyler Lockett trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
On paper, good value for both sides. My issue with it, for one here, is Troy has just done this whole trade again, essentially, like he did with DJ Moore.
Yeah.
He's traded a bunch of assets for a guy on an expiring contract that he doesn't know whether he can re-sign, and he doesn't know whether it's a long-term fit with the team. Because, let's be honest, Lockett isn't the main focus of this trade, it's Tunsil.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for Loudermilk's development now and good for the watch performances to have Tunsil in now. But this team isn't going to be watched a lot this year. And there's no guarantee he can bring back Tunsil. And we saw what happened with DJ Moore. He brought in an expiring guy for a lot of assets that didn't fit and traded him away early on.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's doing this again, where he's giving him another load of assets for an expiring contract. He doesn't know whether it's going to fit, doesn't know whether he can bring back. That, to me, is... You know, Troy is a guy I have a lot of respect for in terms of coaching. I don't think this is the right process. He's not a team that's going to make the playoffs.
Mm.
He gave up a superstar lineman in the deal who, yeah, he's not going to reach a 95 like Tunsil because offensive line development doesn't work like that in Madden.
Yeah.
But he's still going to reach more than likely the mid-80s.
Oh, yeah.
And is cheap. And cheap and on the same timeline as Loudermilk. Because even Troy has admitted this team is not going to win this year.
Oh.
If that is the case, why are you giving up so much for expiring contracts that you don't know if you want to keep around or not? That, to me, screams bad process. For Krack, I think this is great because, again, superstar lineman, good backup running back, and picks, plenty of things to use for this rebuild. Well, retool, realistically, but, And on the NFC North as a whole, I agree with the sentiment of it's definitely MLK's division to lose at the moment. But the Lions and the Bears are going to be good enough to keep this interesting. Because, well, the Vikings don't have DJ Moore as the second option anymore, as much as Tank Dell and Stephen Bentley are good options. They're not DJ Moore. And Bubba Jeffries has been banged up. So, I don't know in terms of the Vikings. I don't think they're as strong as last year. I think they're still the favourite for the division and potentially the NFC favourite. But they're a lot more... They look a lot more beatable than they did this time last year.
100%.
I think the Lions, I think Ice and CJ are cooking out there.
Hmm.
But, I don't think it's a guarantee that this team is going to be good, because obviously you've got a huge floor raiser in Cody Hayner, who's going to get even better. Javonte Williams is at least in that range where he's going to sim well. I haven't seen enough to think that he's going to be a good watched running back yet, but in sim, we know he's good enough to win with. You've got Kyle Pitts, who's going to be there for a long time, and he's going to be really good for a long time. Isaiah Likely as his backup is great. The issue I run into is this receiving core. Mike Williams is 30 years old, and yeah, he's got a superstar. He's a superstar. Yes, he's 90 overall, but 30 years old, he doesn't explicitly fit the timeline for me. Tyler Boyd, again, he's aging. He's 30 years old, and he's only an 81 to start, so he's going to regress big. I think Josh Palmer's a fine 3. I think they need to find a 1 and a 2 for the future. That's obviously assuming that, Kyle Pitts isn't going to be force-fed the ball to oblivion in, Kansas City playbook or something. I think the offensive line, for the most part, is good. I think you need to start thinking about replacements for Joe Tooney and Tyron Smith, which is easier said than done with how good they are.
Yeah. And
I think the defense is good enough. I think maybe another edge rusher. And apart from that, let it rock on defense.
Well, I will say, as far as the edge rusher, I did trade Myers to the Lions, and that hasn't reflected yet. I don't think CJ set that up yet. We do have Franklin Myers there to go across.
I'm working under the assumption that JFM is going to be a rush D tackle too. The way this looks to me is that it'll be Quinnen and JFM. At least the way I do it, will be Quinnen and JFM on the inside, and then Wheeler and someone else in the future on the outside. I know probably JFM does play the other edge spot this year, but I think at least long term, they'd be better off switching JFM
Wheeler
to the inside.
will go inside. Wheeler's the better inside guy.
Wheeler probably is a better end. I think I probably was playing JM at the wrong position. That's just more or less because I was really trying to force Sally pause on that comment, and then I was trying to see if Diablo could play outside as well. Diablo's probably just better if I keep him at backer, but I really didn't have a spot for JM. Regardless, I want to play my young guys. Not to make this about me or nothing like that, but podcast. So. But yeah, I mean, so they're good on the edge. I think JFM will be a good edge for them. They shoot there.
Okay, so the Lions, at least we know they're good this year, and they're gonna get better once the receiver situation, especially, is sorted out.
Yep.
Which I've got faith in CJ of doing that. I like this, and you got the Packers, right?
Mm.
I see the vision. It's just that, there's a lot of work to do with this roster.
Oh, a ton.
Because obviously everyone saw the first draft and that Radio absolutely cooked with his first draft. But since then, it's there's questions to be asked because, the cornerback room needs work, obviously.
Is it quarterback?
I think... No, corner. Quarterback, you've just got to let it rock with John Wesley. You've given up a fair amount to get him in. Roman Peterson, you've got to just, wait and see if he's the guy at running back, because we know Diogo is a lot better at fullback than he is at running back, at least overall wise.
Yeah.
He's significantly better at fullback and filling in as a power back. But like, you've got Roman Peterson, who we don't know is the guy there yet. You need to wait and see on John Wesley, and they desperately need a wide receiver 2 and 3.
Oakley's, I mean, unfortunately, Oakley has like the little glitch where he's not going to dev.
Yes,
sucks.
but at least in Watched, Oakley plays like a wide receiver 1.
Yeah. And
The thing is,
Traylon
like,
Burke's saying it. And maybe that's a little sour grapes from how he played, like his lack of a IRL, but it's like, he ain't really the guy at number 2.
But yeah, like this Packers roster is a lot of wait and see, and there's plenty to like, but they were at least a year, probably 2 away.
Yeah.
So like with the NFC North, I think it's this year it's MLK's to lose, but there's 2 teams there that can easily be playoff teams and easily push MLK for the division.
Yeah.
I think the Lions, in terms of the future, are the team set up the best because there's the least amount to pick apart there.
Yeah.
Like with the Bears, as much as like I have full faith in Krack to get this team back to the top sooner rather than later.
Aww.
There's obvious room for improvement on this team. Like obviously you don't have DK Metcalf anymore. I'm not sure if Devonta Smith really is the replacement that you need for him, but like he's damn good as a 2, and Dusk can probably develop into a 1. Like getting Chet under contract, that's gonna be big, but you've got Chet, CMC, you've got Dusk. Those are foundational pieces. Dylan Niles looks like a foundational piece. Like overhauling the offensive line, that's already started. Like after that, obviously you've got to look into replacements for, Mother Hubbard and Hendrickson and like Cole Holcomb. But when you've got guys like Chad Lee on the roster, like L'Jarius Sneed, who's young enough to stay there for a while, Derrick Forrest, who's young enough. With these foundational pieces on offense, I think the Bears are in a better spot to build from than the Packers. And I think that I think the Vikings, obviously, with them being a lot more beatable, there's a lot more work to do, especially with trading DJ Moore, which I think they won the trade. I think they've already proven that they've won the trade because of the disaster that happened with DJ Moore in Jacksonville. But, like, this isn't the same Vikings team from last year, where I was, very comfortable saying, oh, I think this team's going to the bowl. But yeah, overall, the NFC North and the NFC East in general are both stacked to the fucking gills.
Yeah. Derrick, anything you would like to add on vote?
Ay. Took you long enough, Todd.
Yeah, Todd pretty much covered everything. But if you have anything,
Krack, I think you're still finding ways to make improvements, even though I will add this here, even though it was at a 17-point lead, it should have been straight to Sim. But then Krack's like, no, we're gonna see this thing through, and good thing we did.
I mean, when you're the champ, you got to use your power, right?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna hold that against you, and that was a good comeback. I mean, to be honest with you, I probably would have traded for Tunsil, but then I'd have to probably find some way to move him around because I got Tristan Wirfs at left tackle. But it is what it is. Even though you're saying you're like rebuilding or retooling or whatever it is, I mean, you're still up there with what the Lions got cooking on. I wonder what's on their menu. And then the Vikings, Milk's always that kind of like decent mid coach, I guess we people call him. But
they call him an average coach. I think he's. Yeah. But MLK is not gonna like you saying that, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Yeah. So we're gonna go to Derrick because I feel like Derrick hasn't really talked a ton, and I don't want to say this is like an intervention or nothing like that, but we got things to talk about Derrick as far as a quarterback goes. So Derrick made a couple of quarterback moves this week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Mayhew did not play well at all against my defense, struggling all season. Literally, we gave up 30 points a game. I've been bitching about it all fucking season, basically, how we have been outscored by at least 3 scores in every single game. We gave up at least 30 points in every game. We didn't score more than 15 in any game. We turned around 127-6 against the Texans. The first game, we haven't even given up a touchdown. So, after that, Derrick announced this in-stream that Chris Mayhew benched for Geno Smith. But now, he ended up trading for a quarterback with FG as one of the many trades FG made. He traded for Chance Goltree, gave up a 4th next year and a 3rd in 2027. And also, and a move that I ain't gonna lie, Derrick, kind of pissed me off. You don't put JC Rochelle on the practice squad. So, I'm just gonna give my thoughts real quick and I'll let you have the floor. Because again, I don't feel like you've talked I don't think you've gotten an opportunity to talk like everybody else, myself. But I'm just confused as to what the plan is at quarterback. Now, my assumption is now that you actually have your first this year, like you're gonna like try to go in. You're trying to go. My assumption is that you're going quarterback. Granted, I don't know how good this QB class is gonna be. Like looking at the draft class, Boone Yanakakos is the first quarterback off the board. Perspective. I don't know how much I buy that because as much as I love Dexter Moss, I have been very avidly anti-Boone Yanakakos. I'm not a big fan of him. I'm an FSU guy. I keep it a buck about how I feel about all the quarterbacks who've played IRL and even in FGFL. I mean, obviously, well, you guys didn't know me back during the days of Christian Ponder. I was never a big Christian Ponder fan. I like DJ Manuel. I don't think that he should have been a first-round pick not in Buffalo. I've always been a big Jameis Winston supporter. I thought DeAndre Francois was great before he got against Bama. James Blackman, I was anti. Jordan Travis, I didn't like his first 2 years, but like his junior year, I was like a fan of him. Broke my heart when he broke his leg. But in this FGFL, I love Dexter Moss. I'm not a big Boone Yanakakos believer. But obviously, you have like guys like Emmanuel Fields. You have James Gurley, who I'm a big. But it's just like, I don't know. You were sticking it out with Mayhew all season. I believe got hurt last year. Geno was your starting quarterback the year you made playoffs. Obviously, Geno's still there, but you're going to Goltree now. So I'll let you have the floor now. What is the plan at? Well, I have 2 questions. One, why? Like, what about JC Rochelle is it that you're not a fan of starting him? And then, so what do you think Goltree will give you that may? And like, just what is your plan overall at quarterback?
Fair enough. I don't know. I don't know. By getting Goltree, I was gonna have 4 quarterbacks on the main roster, and 4 is too many. I just need I had to deal with I can only deal with like maybe 3 or so. I mean, and I feel like Mayhew still has like some potential, and I still needed Geno to be there as a mentor or some of that, even though he is in the last year of, even though he's in the last year of his deal or something like that, and that led to kind of JC being the odd man out. I mean, Geno, it will still like stateside mentor him, so I had to release a defensive end from my practice squads so JC could be placed on there. This year, the plan is going to be Goltree.
That's fair.
Going to be Goltree starting. As far as the future is concerned, I don't know. Let's see how Goldtree does. I mean, the first 2 games, you look at Mayhew, he had combined 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and over the last 3 games, no touchdowns, 6 picks.
Yeah, and I think he's the only starting quarterback in the league has a negative, like he has a negative as far as like TD. As much as
The only one
Henry
now,
has been pissed, it's like I do get the Goldtree thing as far as like the overall goes. Literally, I'm starting a 72 overall quarterback right now, so I get it. I just feel like Shell, I feel like if you wanted to start Goldtree later on in the season, if Rochelle wasn't well, maybe that would make sense. And it's like Rochelle was like a 6th or 7th round quarterback, so it's not like you like spent big draft capital to get him. I just feel like he probably deserved like a better shot at starting quarterback. Obviously, you've seen what Mayhew's gonna.
Which next year he might.
I mean,
next year he might get that shot to start.
Yeah, I mean, you could always call him back. So, but yeah, I mean, and again,
yeah, but I mean, this was part of the whole Giants fire sale that was going on. He was asking me about this Thursday. I didn't get back to him. Didn't really respond to him until after the whole witching hour stream. Remember, he was saying it was telling me some stats or some ratings that about him or the other guy who was trying to sell me McNamara.
And personally, I like McNamara.
I like Goldtree.
Hey, I have an accurate quarterback now.
Yeah. And I think hopefully it ends up working out. Honestly, I will say this. Had I got Leco, I think you probably would have been the person I contacted about trading for Henry. I think I would have definitely offered you. But I don't think Henry would have been the penalty I'd incur for trading him. Plus, I feel like Henry does have potential to develop into a back, which is why, although I was interested in trading him if I got Leco, I think Henry could end up being at least good enough for me to build around to win the title with. I feel like in the right situation, he could be good. He could dev well enough to be title. I'm gonna let Icepick talk next. Ice, what are your thoughts on and we being real with each other, we're being brutally honest with each other, so Derrick, don't get upset if somebody says something they're not attacking you, they're attacking the idea.
I mean, it's okay. I'm not Eagles fan. I'm not Lance. I'm good.
Derrick can take it. Alright, Ice.
Love it.
All 3 of y'all. I'm gonna let Ice go, then I'm gonna let Krack go, then green light.
Yeah,
all I'm gonna say is
gone.
Ice, you and I have had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Go off, bro. Pop off, Papa.
Well, thank God Mayhew's gone, because that paranoid motherfucker was shit. He was ass. Thank God he's gone. I even like Rochelle better, because he's got, ideal sense of pressure. But, you got you got Goldtree. And Goldtree, very accurate quarterback. Average throw power, 84. He's got okay speed at 70. He's got, an ideal forced passes. He's got tight spiral. He's oblivious to pressure, so there's going to be times where he holds onto the ball when the guy's running straight at him. He's not going to get rid of it, but something you have to live with. That's the biggest reason why I agree with Cass. I like McNamara better, because he's got ideal with the tight spiral. The little bit stronger throw power at 89 and faster at 85, but I definitely think it'll be an improvement over Mayhew. Anyway, at least. So, maybe Goldtree balls out. He comes guy. Maybe he sucks. He call Rochelle back up, give him a chance, see what he can do, and then hopefully you'll know by this offseason whether you got the guy on roster or if you still need to be looking.
All right.
Krack, sir.
So, Easter egg. I reached out to FG about Goldtree.
Ooh.
I sat there looking at Goldtree and McNamara, and I could see the shininess of McNamara on top, but I see something in Goldtree. And if I wasn't going to get him, I'm glad that he's going to the Texans because he should get a good chance to start. You got to understand he's going to have some issues. He's going to have some struggles. Chet still has issues. Chet still has struggles. Lamar, MVP. So I was like, because I was trying to slowly finagle to try and get the asking price kind of where I wanted to. Wasn't there. Trigger got pulled. I think a little bit was because the pressure was on the Texans, which, I mean, they're a better team than what their record's showing, so I don't blame the pressure being there. So I like Goldtree over McNamara 6 out of 7 days. So I think he got the person that's going to fit better with his team. Like he said, the accuracy is just much, much more there. And the rest, you should be able to use upgrades to kind of fill in the blanks. So that's pretty much all I have to really say about that. I can keep it short and simple there.
Very fair. Todd, how do you
Okay.
feel?
On the monologue.
Right, it's not going to be a big monologue this time. Right, my thing is, I think Goldtree is a good fit as a quarterback, especially behind an offensive line that is very good, which means that the oblivious sense of pressure isn't going to affect him as much because he's going to get plenty of time to throw. My thing is simply, I think letting it rock with JC Rochelle would have been a slightly better move, simply because I know that his ratings are not all that, but there's more chance of him being a long-term piece than there is with Goldtree, simply because he already has star dev, and he has good traits for watch games. So all you need is one good watch game, followed by a breakout. He's got superstar, and I know chances are Offensive Rookie of the Year will be either Dexter Moss or Tyreek Archie, at least for the AFC, because it goes off of AFC and NFC for the dev-ups. But the chance being there of getting a breakout to star, or from star to superstar, and then from getting a potential long shot at Offensive Rookie of the Year to go from superstar to X, that to me, at least in the position you're in, because, correct me if I'm wrong, you have your first round pick this year, right?
Yes, I do.
So, like, for me, it would be, okay, I've got my first round pick, I'm at 1-4. I'd start the guy where there's a chance where he could get X Factor after the season, however slim, or, with his stats being so bad for Sim, completely bottoming out, finishing, say, 2-15, having the first or second overall pick. I'm able to get whichever one of Boone, Fields, or Gurkey you prefer at number 1. Like, basically, that's my piece on it.
Yeah, I see where you guys are coming at, and yeah, some of it is well deserved, and just I'm gonna say with a grain of salt. And fun fact here: if I didn't trade for Goldtree, and if everything's going to stay the same with Geno Smith or something like that, and if Geno ends up doing fine, then fine. But if after week 10, Geno somehow completely shits the bed, then no matter what, I would have started JC Rochelle in the week 11 game against the Broncos.
I still think you should go. And if you fuck around and beat the Broncos, Almy gonna be in his fifi. I'll put it that way, because Elmer's is not a big fan of receivers.
He fucking hates his guts.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, my only thing is, because you gave up capital to Tree, that's why I just feel like it would have been a better situation. Rocked with his face. You would have just rocked.
Rock with JC.
See, saw what you could do. Best case scenario, you find your future guy in Rochelle. Worst case scenario, you get a top 5 pick, maybe 1 or 2. And it's not a lot of people who have like who are gonna have high picks who are going to be for quarter. Elmy does not. Realistically, if my pick ends up being top 5, Elmer's isn't drafting a quarterback with that. I'm think he's either from what Elmer's has told me, and I'm putting it out there because I'm salty about Elmy and I got my pick back. But not that he should. I'm just salty about it because I mean, at the time I didn't think I would be 1-4, but you know, if I feel like Elmer's is gonna sit on the pick if it stays top 5, he'll just get the best players draft sweat. So he's gonna find all draft degenerate as we call it. It's like he's gonna find somebody top 5 that he's gonna do it. But it's like I don't feel like there are a ton of people in the projected top 5 or 10 quarterbacks currently. Alpo maybe, because you know Alpo's God knows so anti-T-law. Well, I don't blame him personally. That's just me, an FSU and Titans fan. But so you look at the top 5 currently. Packers have the number 1 overall pick. They just got James Wesley. They're not going, or John Wesley, whatever.
Yeah.
It starts with it's John. I know, but he ain't looking for a quarterback. Almy ain't looking for a quarterback. Alpo ain't looking for a quarterback. Specta, maybe. I mean, David James, I mean, people, for all the Art Henry criticisms we get, David James ain't playing well neither. So, Specta could be up there. I don't think, Milk ain't looking for this. Let's see. T-Clink's probably sticking with Stroud for a little bit. Alpo has another first. Maybe he spends one of those firsts on quarterbacks. I don't know. Val just got his quarterback. Or I'm sorry, Val got their quarterback. I apologize, Val, for misgendering. I'm sorry. Val has their quarterback.
That's who we.
So then it's you. Nick literally got his quarterback ready. Husker has his. You know, CJ has some guy, adrenaline's in his soul or whatever, quarterback. Food, aka Octi, he ain't looking for a quarterback. Pepperjack ain't looking. Like, this draft class, there are not very many people looking for quarterbacks outside of, like, maybe Alpo, maybe Specta, maybe me. But I don't have a first round pick, so you don't got to worry about me. But yeah, most people have their quarterbacks of the future. Maybe Pride might want one as well. Sports Trap, if he actually does his scouting this year, might find somebody he likes who he wants around.
Eli Bradley.
Maybe Rainbow,
Eagles,
if
they don't
Rainbow's
resign
tired of Herbo.
Cassius is a free agent this year unless he gets tagged or signed.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Pride is definitely back hunt. Maybe Rainbow, I don't know. Possibly. He has Herbo, so I don't know.
BJ John.
Yeah, like, you're not gonna have to compete with many, so you'll definitely be able to find at quarterback. I mean, best case scenario, I find I get a quarterback in the second. So it's like really only Alpo and Specta you're gonna as far as quarterback. You have plenty of, and it's like the third best guy could be the best guy out of those 3. We'll have to see. Like, I haven't done a ton of scouting on quarterbacks quite yet, so we'll see. I mean, either way, you at least have your first round pick this year, Derek. So if it all goes to shit, guess what? You're in good position because you have a receiver. You know, as much as people clowned you, myself included, for the trade that you did for JSN, you have a bona fide number 1. So it's like, it'll work out. It'll work its way out. You just got to do your due diligence. Speaking of franchise quarterbacks, though, we gonna go to Mr. Shits County, bro, and talk about his quarterback situation. Eagles fan Jr. So, Krack kind of had to set Eagles straight a little. Where Eagles thinks the team should be, and where Todd knows the team is. So, Eagles getting really impatient for God knows what, considering in a better situation last year. But I'm trying to scroll up and find this conversation because I remember like Krack kind of just had to give Eagles a reality check, just being He's being Eagles. I'll put it that way. But
let me lay the foundation when you do that real quick.
I got you.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong, especially when you have a user player, wanting your team to do better. I mean, telling your coach what you think could work. And I mean, we saw it, Icepick was primarily, from what we saw, was doing more of the coaching than Pokemon supposedly was.
Yeah, like
okay?
Ice.
But
oh no, Krack, I'm sorry.
Here's the difference. Ice was a top pick. Eagles wasn't. So you can have LeBron here, who you know for sure is going to be the face of your franchise, ride or die, unless some freak accident happens.
Mm.
Or you could sit here and have, let's go with, I don't want to be too rude because Eagles is actually starting to perform, but let's go.
I was going to say Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons was still kind of highly. You know what? Let's not even do basketball.
Let's say Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma.
Kuzma. You know that there's talent there. You know that they can lead a team. You see some really amazing things from them, and you want to keep them. But they shouldn't be making the decisions for the franchise. Now, Todd is one of those coaches where he's going to listen, and he will try and get you what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you also got to know Todd's been putting a team together good for a while. He gave up a franchise quarterback who got him to a bowl game for you.
Yep. His
team's outperforming what expectations probably were. In my mind, they're outperforming what expectations were.
I agree.
Eagles is outperforming expectations. You're still like, let this man cook. Listen, hey, this is what I think we need. What do you think? Talk back and forth. Okay, here's who I'm going to go after. Yeah, that would be awesome. Cool. But trying to give up everything to do it 1 year, you got to look in your division. The Raiders and the Broncos aren't going anywhere. And they're not building stuff on a 1-year deal. Elmer keeps building and building and building that team, even though he's sitting there, in the trenches every year, where on paper he should be the winner of that division. Q's got that team set up nice. She has to do very minimal. She traded to get Waddle, which was amazing and stuff. And they're still 3-2, but that team's still going to take off and do. I mean, they've got a hard schedule. You got to realize where you are, and you got to nitpick away. If you could get a home run hit, you get a home run hit. But you don't try and get 4 home runs in 1 at bat. Do it over the course of a series. And that's the only thing I was trying to say with him is your coach just went out and made some moves that I don't think he necessarily would have made all of them.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the little bit of pressure, but that's because he does want to keep Eagles happy. But Eagle, you got a coach who wanted you. That should make you happy and loyal right away, which I don't think Eagles requested any trades or not, but there's a difference between Leco and Eagles. Eagles knew he wasn't the future of the Cowboys.
And he accepted it.
He wasn't working. Jahar wasn't as involved. He went to a good coach who will listen, who's involved, who's been in and out. He hasn't disappeared, even with a broken kneecap. He's still been here. He's been engaged. That's perfect. And Eagles is showing up. I haven't been able to troll him as much as I've wanted to. So be happy you got a coach that's going to listen. Sorry for the farting in the background.
It's all good. You got to let it go sometimes.
But just let your coach cook. Ask him what his thoughts are. Talk about it, but don't force it.
Yeah.
Todd will, and then he'll be like, look, you wanted this is what it is, and now we didn't get here. Because like I said, I still try to tell people, I won with some luck last year. And I would say it was probably 30% luck. That's a lot of damn luck. But if you get your team balanced, you can go from wild card to the bowl. You can beat the Alpos and the Qs and the Elmers. Let your coach cook, because obviously he's shown he can do it in multiple areas. Give your advice. Hey, I really think we need this. He agreed. But don't make him mortgage the future all at once to go all in when that team's not ready for an all-in push. And sorry, Todd, you know it's not. I know it's not. I'll be the one to be the bad guy to tell him that because I know you're trying to keep him happy. I haven't got a chance to talk to you about it, so if I put words in your mouth, I apologize. But I see where your team's at, and I know if you kept on the route you were going, you were going to fuck your team. So if you stopped where you're at now, you're setting your team up beautifully with this offseason because you didn't overpay for Tunsil or even give away your first. You're setting it up. So I had to just let Eagles know, slow your roll a little bit. You can't come in demanding everything. You can say something. You're valued, but get over it a little bit. You ain't LeBron, bro.
That's like my thing. It's like, Eagles, you got to just patient, bro. You can't, like Krack has already outlined it, but it's just like, you're in a better situation than you were last season for one. And you're with somebody who genuinely does give a fuck about this league. Not that Justin doesn't, but Justin is abroad. He's in school abroad currently. It's like in a different country school. But it's like Todd genuinely cares about this team getting better. I get being trust and fucking believe. I get being disappointed in how your team is performing. Trust me when I say that. But Todd knows what he's doing. This is not his first rodeo in a league like this. Like, obviously, there are so many differences we can go down the list as far as like how the FGFL is versus the OFL. But Todd's been here. He knows. He literally went to a bowl the first year. Last year, just had a little bad luck. And you just gotta be patient. Like, I get wanting to win right away. Gotta be patient, bro. Like, I get, like, you know, you want to give this timeline where you want things to be better. Don't do that, bro. Because the reality is, like Krack said, you're playing in a tough-ass division. I know everybody tried to, like, downgrade the Raiders just because, like, you know, Q doesn't know about football as we do. But it's like, she made a good move getting Jalen Waddle. She's got
me as an advisor.
She has Krack as an advisor. I'm sure FG is like helping her out too. It's
Icepick.
Like, you know, I've told her, like, if she wants to come to me for help, I absolutely got her. Like,
and we'll do the same thing for Jahar or any other coach.
Yeah, like Q will be fine. Like, the Raiders will be fine. The Broncos have Elmers as their coach. Enough said. And hell, as much shit as we give Sports Trap, and as much as the fact that maybe having Brandon Ayuk being your highest overall player isn't the best situation to be, somehow, some way, those motherfuckers are winning games. Like, and it's like, he has a very young team around him as well. I mean, you have Barry Rickhaven on the team. They have a pretty decent offensive line. Defensively, they have some older guys there. I mean, obviously, you know, they just got Alex Highsmith. I mean, I traded him away for a reason. He's at 28 years old. He's not going to get much better than he is. Their secondary situation isn't great because you have old-ass Micah Hyde being your best player. They're still finding a way to win games. So, Eagles, all I can tell you is your role, let Todd cook. Todd, I'm going to let you speak on, you know, the whole, like, the floor.
Yeah, I think it's got to a point where it's a little overblown because he got a little bit upset about losing to Dallas.
And granted, real quick time, that's kind of how Eagles is realistically. Like, and I've known Eagles. Like, he used to come to my streams as like Eagles back then versus Eagles now, so different. But I think it's just more passion than else. But it's like he still got to slow his roll a bit because
yeah.
Like, I'm glad. Like, honestly, I like the fact that Eagles cares. Like, you know, even as a user player, I like that he cares. But it's like, I just feel like it's a bit misguided, like where he's like where he's saying certain things.
I think it's a little bit of it. He basically took it a little to heart about losing the game.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I think, like, obviously the whole thing of he came to me and went, okay, we need more offensive line help. I agreed with that. I was already looking at Tunsil. I was looking at Stanley before that. It gave me a little bit of, okay, I should probably go out and get this deal done. Because of where we are now is at least we're not as many pieces away as you'd think.
Yeah.
We are not winning the bowl this year. That is one thing I'm throwing out there. We ain't winning no bowl this year.
Ever know?
Like, I've been saying, like, this team, it's a high floor, low ceiling type of team right now.
Yeah.
Like, I've been saying this since the offseason. Like, our floor is probably 8 wins. Our ceiling is probably 11 wins. Like, that's either way, that's a team that's probably going to get bounced in the first or second round of the playoffs. But where we're at, that is fine. We have Eagles, who's 23, superstar. I think he's 74 overall, off the top of the dome. We've got Austin Ellington. He's still 24. He's nearly a 90, superstar. Biggest Bird and Josh Guest, both 23, both superstars, both in the mid-70s. We've got Tariq Woolen in the secondary. He's going to be here for a while. We've got Avery Harper and Matt Davis who are going to be around for a while. We just took Michael Granado in the first round, who's going to be here for the next 5 to 6 years. We've got young pieces. It is just simply trying to get all the young pieces up to the level where we're ready to compete next year or the year after. Like, this is a year where we are essentially doing a Krack-style competitive retooling after back-to-back failed all-in pushes. Because the difference between me and Krack went all-in, he got the ring. I went all-in, I lost to C-Mill in year one, and then, the fourth quarter of the Ravens game happened. And simply put, was the team set up well last year? No, it was not. I banked way too much on low overall young guys coming in and playing above what they were supposed to play like. And then was all surprised when they didn't play up to what I thought they were going to and played up to what they should be playing to, and we got bounced in the first round. And, as much as Eagles fan Jr., at least right now, looks like an improvement at quarterback, the rest of the team has taken a little steps back. Obviously, Bobby Wagner retired. We traded away Leighton Vander Esch. We let PJ Scott walk in free agency because Pride gave him $15 million a year. This team is not going to win this year. It probably isn't going to win the division next year. I'm banking on year 5 being our year, basically. Where we are now is trying to get the pieces in place and trying to develop them to where they are. Eagles is on board with this idea. It just took a little bit of back and forth before we got to that stage of, okay, this is where we are. I'm gonna give you a little bit of input, but at the end of the day, you've also got to let me do my thing a little bit. It's basically trying to find that balance of talking with Kevin, Biggest Bird, talking with Eagles, and getting their input of what they think needs to be done, and then combining that with my opinion on what needs to be done.
Yeah. And Bird's a coach in the OFL too, right?
Yeah, he's also one of
so he's another
one
guy,
of the better ones.
He's another guy that knows what he's doing. So again, Eagles.
Yeah, it's essentially the way we're going is 3 brains better than 1. It's just that when the passion boils over, we need to not overreact when the passion boils over. That's the key thing here.
Amen. Ice. I'll go to Ice then, Derek. You guys have anything you want to add on this conversation?
Yeah, Eagles, you're not me. You're not. That's the best way to put it. It's you're not the guy that knows the most about anything outside of the coaches. Put it this way, I probably have more knowledge about rosters and shit than some of the coaches, really.
I think you proved that in Miami.
And I'm definitely the best user QB in terms of at least writing.
Oh yeah, and playing as well. It's only you.
Yeah.
Anyway, you, Leco, and Case. I forgot because what's his name? It has to be blocked on.
Let's just say we don't talk about just in case on the podcast.
And we'll talk about him. Unblock me, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You.
Eagles, you're still at a point where you're replaceable.
Yeah. I mean, that's a harsh, brutally honest way to put it. Yes, there are not many quarterbacks in this league or who are irreplaceable. But Derek, anything to add as far?
I mean, I get the passion that he has for it. I mean, especially against the team that traded him away, that didn't want to be there. I mean, I understand why.
Yeah.
He did it, but just like The Rock says, know your role. Shut your mouth. But if anything, I would have, if I was Eagles fan or something like that, I would have gone to my coach, privately and talked about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Again, he has that Eagles. He's got the passion. He's got He's got that hunger. I mean, that watch Chargers game when he gets hurt and come back, he showed he's got the cojones. To compete in a crazy AFC West division. But sometimes some things are just better to like not be said and not be seen like you're getting in your own coach's face like Travis Kelce did during the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean,
but there's that shows like the youth, I guess, or they're not quite. He's still working on the maturity thing, but now he should learn how to behave better, and he will. It just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think
not to shit on him. Sorry, Kaz.
You're good, Krack. Go ahead.
It's not to shit on him or anything. Like the main thing I was trying to get across to Eagles is, I know nobody, him included, he can say all he wants. Nobody expected him to be playing as well as he has. We expected a lot more turnovers. I think he's got less turnovers than Chet does up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
He had a really good game. Yeah, you lost to the Cowboys, but realistically, we're not even sure if we really thought you were going to even be in a position to win the game. You were, and I'm sorry, people can say he had the interception. He did not lose that game for them.
Nope.
That was the defense. That's biggest Bird, if anybody, and fucking all of his fucking penalties. Eagles did not lose the game. So he should be at disappointed they lost. But the fact that you're already ahead of schedule and ahead of where, yourself and many others thought you would be, damn. That just means we're closer to winning instead of being 2 years out. Now we're a year out. Or maybe we're competing next year and then, we finally get it all together the next year. Like, you guys are closer than expected. So be happy about that. That shows that your coach obviously did great things to get you to this spot.
Yeah, and just slow your roll, Eagles. That's all we basically. Like, this is your first year. You still have 3 years left in your contract in Kansas City. Realistically, Rome wasn't made in a day, so you just gotta keep your head up, bro. I mean, and on top of everything else, you're 3-2, albeit in arguably the toughest division. Currently, we're 3-2. Season, still a lot of season ahead, bro. It's just a bad, y'all just as a team had a bad performance. That would be fun.
I'm just going to throw this out there. The problem wasn't as much the defense as much as the defense was on the field for 40 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Because our offensive play calling in the second half was some of the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's valid.
Get that, but also, like I said, your defense wasn't getting stops regardless anyways.
Yeah.
Not the stops you needed. They weren't getting the turnovers.
They were allowing
some hitters on the spot. So
they were allowing some of the to stay with.
It's more so, I think it was the problems on both sides of the ball, not just problems on one side of the ball.
Not valid.
And you're not going to score a touchdown every time, so you guys had a good run early. You stalled out. Your offense put up a lot of points. Your defense should have been able to hold it down. Your defense shouldn't have been giving up that many points. And I mean,
they gave him
Eagles in a position where he had to kind of Brett Favre it. And he had, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it a 4 touchdown, 1 interception game?
4 touchdown, 1 pick, 1 fumble.
Yeah, so
exactly. I think Chet had 4 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Now, granted, he won it, but what also happened in that game? My defense. So that's where, I wasn't mad at Eagles, and I get it. I kind of wanted him to beat them too. I was actually rooting for him, and who would have ever thought that would be the case?
Right.
So,
correct me if I'm wrong. Did the Cowboys have a kick return touchdown?
No, they had a good kick return up to, I think it was the 45, but they didn't score a touchdown off the kick return.
Yeah. I mean,
I believe it was a kick return at the 45, and then you had the big broken play where Josh Guest couldn't catch up to Lamar, and he uncorked a 35-yarder to Rob Fitzner.
Yeah, that's what happened. But yeah, I mean, you'll be fine, Eagle. Like you're in good hands. You're in good company.
It was a fire game.
It was a really good game. You're in good company, Eagles. That's like the bottom line. You're in very good company. Todd is very passionate about all this shit. And Bird knows what. I've heard Bird is at least competent. So,
and let's be honest. I mean, he did one out of Dallas. We we knew what was going on in Dallas. I don't think it was totally his fault. His player definitely looks way better on the Chiefs than he did Dallas because you have a coach that was actually trying to scheme for you. But truthfully, this might be your last chance with the team that's not like, oh well, I won 2 games last year. Let me try and see if I can get something going with the Eagles fan. You got somebody who gave up top talent to get you on their team who's been in the playoffs numerous times, had success, got to a bowl. Truthfully, I think should have won the bowl. I think they kind of got, but
I wish.
you got somebody who has confidence in you and isn't like, I guess I'll take Eagles fan. You ain't going to get that probably again with the way, I guess I don't want to say act, but if you kind of show out like this, I wouldn't want to take a chance on you.
And
Not even
another
sit on the
thing,
bench and troll.
I think out of all the teams, like I think half the teams that made it to the playoffs, like Chiefs are one of those teams that made the playoffs both 2 years. Obviously, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Bucks.
Bills and Jets did. I mean, Alpo's all there because it's fucking. I mean, the Raiders made it the playoffs both years. Oh, I mean, you're in good like, bro. You're playing for one of the few teams that have both. So, just trust the process. Todd knows what. We're gonna leave it there.
Give input, but give input, not demands.
Ain't nothing wrong with giving input. But let's go to the Lions topic. So we're mainly going to talk about the Lions outlook, but they made a pretty big move. I actually brought it up earlier. They traded for John Franklin Myers. Now they gave up 3 picks. I really played hardball with CJ on this trade because although I did put him on the block, I wasn't like that pressed on trading JFM. It was more so a move to free up some cap space. I don't know what the fuck I did with my cap space. I just really splurged goddamn much. And I splurged on my draft picks as well. So it was kind of my attempt at recouping a lot of cap space that I ended up draft picks trading away. Whether it was a trade up for have you. They got him. I think he could be a pretty good piece. Lions, but obviously they're sitting at 3-2. They're doing pretty well. They got a really tough game on Tuesday against the Vikings. We already talked about the outlook a little bit, but we'll start with Ice. What are your thoughts on picking up? How do you feel, guys? Because obviously one big criticism for the Lions is defense hasn't been all that great consistently, at least this year. But what do you think? What do you think he brings it?
Funny thing with the last topic, I'm actually the one who brought JFM up, CJ.
Ooh.
And part of the idea was the fact that we've been toying with even before the start of this season. We were toying with the idea of being able to run a 4-3 instead of a 3-4.
To
have the flexibility to go back and forth,
Yeah.
And, I was just looking through there at it was available at the time and at, end or DT. And I saw where you had JFM listed. Like, hey, CJ, what would you ask Kaz what he wants for JFM? And that's where you guys went with the talks. Now, there's some I know it was talked about a little bit earlier. Todd's under the was talking about JFM playing inside or something. But personally, I would rather move Jared Willer inside.
Yeah.
JFM's slightly faster. They have similar block shedding, but JFM's more a finesse guy. Willer's more of a power guy. I prefer to have the power through the middle, the finesse on the edge. So that's what I'm thinking. But currently we're still in the 3-4 because obviously, you can't scheme change. We could playbook change, but we've already done the offense side. So it's just basically I believe we've got JFM and Willer on the edges with Chubb being the backup.
Yeah.
And our inside's still basically the same at the moment. But yeah, it's obviously we've got the pieces in place to figure out what we want to do in the off season.
Yeah. And again, I played hardball like crazy. Like I actually had somebody else. I'll just say who it is. Pride was actually looking to acquire him. But I was more willing to like trade with CJ than I was with Pride, but it's like Pride gave me such a good offer from him. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna give CJ a chance to match it, and if he matches it, I will go with CJ. Nothing against Pride, but it's like, I don't know. I just felt like CJ came to me first, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be transparent with Pride and say, well, CJ is also looking to get him, so I'm gonna see like what he wants, or like what he wants to give. I feel like CJ gave me a better deal at the end, so good on CJ for making that move. Like, it was nothing against JFM. It's just I had to make a move, clear up some cap space, and get some like try to pick up some more people to help write this shit. Yes, but he should be a good asset for you. He didn't do much for me, but it's like I also don't feel like he was in the best scheme fit.
Maybe it's the scheme.
Could be the scheme. And there were so many other young players that I wanted to play that position because, like, starting him wasn't really able to get Noah Kelly any playing time. Right now, I think he gets a bit more playing time. And I just like overall, I just feel like Ben Hawthorne's probably a better fit at DN tackle. Like I was trying to make Hawthorne tackle, but he might just be a better end. So we're gonna test that out. I'm gonna see what Josh Harris do. Obviously, like I spent the money I spent on Josh Harris to pick him guy, so we'll see what he and hopefully it works out for both of us. But I definitely need to get that draft capital on cap space. You guys have any thoughts? I'll go with Krack first. You guys have any thoughts as far as that goes?
I mean, I definitely think it's a big pickup for the Lions. One, because they kept him out of the division because I was one who inquired about him. I went low at first just to try and see. I was trying to see, how cap strapped you were. I wouldn't have matched what CJ did, but that's not because I didn't think it was worth it. It's just I really didn't think I'm in the spot to where that would have made sense for me.
Yeah.
I actually think it's a really good trade for both of you. And like I said, he might not have known it, but he kept from having to go up against him for the next couple of years. So
Right.
definitely think it was solid that from that standpoint.
We'll go to Derrick next. Derrick, any thoughts on the
I mean, more power to you.
valid? Ice, any thought? Oh, I already said
It helps that defense helps the defense.
It definitely helps the defense out for sure. I already went to Ice already like. Odd. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I went on a big monologue about this earlier in the fit on the Lions defense. So I'm just gonna simply throw out a comparison here. Is Cody Hadle a GM?
Ooh.
Damn, you are trying to like fucking cause division in a division that you're not even in. That's crazy.
I love it. Thank you, Todd. You might be the next addition to the Bruise Bros.
Might be. Possibly. All I gotta say about that is shit's Coney, bruv.
We need some international representation.
That
all
we do.
All I gotta say is Mike Williams better watch out because Hayden 316 said I just traded your ass.
All right, so now we're gonna talk about my Rammies because goddamn. The last 2 weeks of my life in general just been a complete slog, but thank the fucking Lord we finally got a goddamn win. It was about goddamn time. Also made another big trade outside of JF. Got a little rat power offense. I made it. I don't know if I'd say it was a blockbuster trade. It was a pretty big trade. So I sent a future second rounder and 26 fourth, along with Michael Alexander, and I finally got rid of Jahan Dotson. Thank fucking Lord. And I got Rat and Richie James. Now, I'm gonna let Krack go first. I'm gonna go after Krack because Krack had some criticism. we gonna speak on it a little bit more because Krack. Let me know what your thoughts were. Trade for both.
I mean, I didn't dive too much, but on the surface, I don't like it from your aspect. I think it's kind of like how we just went off about Troy, DJ Moore to Lockett kind of thing.
Mm.
Like you just trade away this person, got this person. Like I'm kind of like you just trade away your running back and now got him. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the running back you got back fits your scheme a lot better.
Yeah.
But when you kind of put it all together of what you trade between all of them, I don't feel like you necessarily hit the mark as much as could have. But I also think you sold a little bit early. I think your team's better than it's performed. I think you had a tough schedule. That defense, once it's halfway point through the year, should be clicking a lot better. Like you said, chemistry.
Mm.
Your defense to me is going to be one of the scariest in the leagues over the next probably 6 years, as long as you can keep some of the people, not even all of them,
Yeah.
put in place. Your cornerback room is fucking ridiculous, and it's going to be shutting down fucking offenses for years to come. And I think you just needed a little bit of time. And I don't necessarily think it's the scheme. It's more or less really the playbook.
Yeah.
I think you got to kind of let the team cook and see what happens. I mean, my team looked dead in the water after the first week. Defending champs come out and score 3 fucking points. And I just had to laugh. I'm like, whatever. I know my team's better than that. And I had to trust. And I'm sitting here myself every single day. I've been putting Sims watch seasons together, trying to find a new playbook with the same scheme. And I feel like I have to trust in what happens. Like I trust. I almost felt like I had to put something in just to make sure I beat Rambo. I expected to lose to Rambo by 9, to be honest. And it got down early and I could do nothing but laugh and drink and get drunk and then end up being a celebration. So with you, I felt like you hit a little bit of a rough spot and it's like, oh fuck, I gotta blow it all up. I'm gonna be losing. I'm like, no, you stick it out. Like I started off 6-0 last year and then lost like I think 5 of the next 6.
Mm.
And everybody's like, oh shit, he's out of the playoffs, and then boom, 8 straight wins, including the bowl. Like it's a game of streaks. Madden doesn't like tweaking that much. I mean, we saw that with how well the Giants were playing, and then they tweaked half their damn team and they lost. Leco ain't looked that bad, and I don't think it's because he was on the Giants. So I think sometimes we got to remember less is more, and that's kind of also what I told the Cowboys. Do you think you have too many mores? Less is more. So Rat's awesome. I do like Rat. So don't really care for you.
I gotta be honest. I feel like the Rat trade was kind of just, for lack of a better term, I guess it was kind of just a way to like make up for trading Bailey, because I put Miles Sanders in. Damn thing for me. Myers got hurt. I didn't think Alexander or Phillip were really gonna be starters. So it's like I traded for Rat to kind of make up for trading away Bailey, because I'm not gonna lie, I definitely regret trading Bailey, seeing like Sim versus seeing what he's doing with the, because I feel like maybe I should have utilized him a little, not even a little, I should have utilized him a lot better than I did. So I can admit that, of all the fuck ups that I've made between the off season, trading Bailey, even though it was mainly draft capital, I should have got more draft capital for him. Honestly, I probably should have got out with Bailey soon this year. I think trading for Rat was a good way to make up for trading away. And it's like I had to get Dotson's contract off my book, at least like for, even though, and it's like I got more for Dotson than anything else. So at the end of the day, like, was it the best move? No, but I do feel like, I will admit that it could be seen. I think it's very justifiable to say it was like running back who has a couple years in his contract left. I can like definitely build him up a little. He's like 82 overall, 24 years old. Rat could definitely do what Bailey didn't. And again, to your point, Krack, he fits my offense. So I mean, I can definitely see where people come from when they say it wasn't a, but I think I did what I had to do. Turn the ship around at least this season. Which, I mean, at 1-4, it ain't looking promising, but it's like crazier things have happened. I mean, literally, I'm a Titans fan. Steve McNair's MVP season, the team started 1-4, walked around 1-11-5. I don't think they won the division, but they got to the.
Yeah.
No,
And,
2002 we won the division.
I mean, I still believe in your team. Like I see the talent on there, and I'm like, damn, like that's talent I would have wanted or I would have went for and stuff like that. And I mean, everybody's probably seeing the coaches' polls and being like, what the fuck's going on? And part of it's me, but it's also because I still think it's too early. Like you realize that they don't do in the NCAA, they don't do these polls from really day one. You know, there's a reason they don't come out until later is because you got to have a bigger sample size. And so Miles Sanders not producing. That's 1 week. That could have been an off week with some changes and stuff like that. I mean,
And you're
I get it.
absolutely right, because
I'd rather have Rat than Miles Sanders. I'm giving you that right away.
Hey,
so I'm good with that.
You are right about Sanders though, because he did fuck around, turn around, get 2 goal line touchdowns. He out here just the freaking goal line merchant.
Yeah.
Whereas Rat will do all the hard work, and then he'll just like fucking siphon touchdowns from like drives. But I like the combination I had between those two. Although I will say, when Byers comes back, he's my power back. So unless he starts fucking up, then we'll try to make him.
I think you wanted Dotson in the offseason. You know, that contract, I get getting off, but Henry needs somebody if he is going to perform. It doesn't have to necessarily be like the best, and Dotson by far isn't that, but I don't think he's low level at all.
I think it's less about how Dotson is and more about the fact that I have James Watson as well. Watson can still.
Richie James has showed out for the Giants in Sims. Not watch necessarily, but in Sims, so I do get that.
He had a touch. I mean, he had a touchdown his first game, so he doing something. I mean, I've always been a Richie. He's a good kick returner. IRL doesn't really contribute too much. He does really well on Madden Sims. So.
Yeah,
I think.
I think I was kind of just more disappointed because, like, you know, the Brutane clan, I want us all to succeed. I want to see us do some things. And like I said, we went to the draft. I was like, oh, fuck. It's like, no, that's the type of draft, even with the, you know, the miss here or there. I was like, that's the fucking draft that I want to have and shit like that. And that defense is what I used to do when I would do franchises. I would have one of the most stacked defenses there was, and the offense would be the one that I'd have to fill in.
Oh, absolutely. So and it's like another thing about the team as well. Like, I feel like in some places I kind of had the guys in the wrong. But it's like now I put Hawthorne and in tackle. I think he's better. I have actually just moved Jamal Revis to outside linebacker, so get some pass rush for us. I have Diablo as my second middle line. Maybe moving those guys back to their natural positions and then having Hawthorne play end for me might end up working out. It's like I'm another team that has really young defense in general. Obviously, getting Hawthorne, Diablo, Bates, and Mo all in the past draft. Like, I had a lot of rookies starting. I think, you know, as much as I tell the Eagles he should be patient, I got to be more patient with. I think we'll be all right. We probably won't make the playoffs. I think there's a chance. You never know.
I'm sorry, but Meat Beep's got the defense on paper, but they're not performing. I think I like your chances of maybe fighting for a wild card spot. You might not get a win in the playoffs, and I did it my first year. So I mean, it's just the baby steps in a full season of Art. He's still coming off injury. You know, your team didn't change too much except for additions from last year, and you were like, I think we would have made it with healthy Art last year. Well, then give your team a chance to get that shit going this year. That was my only thought. That's why I didn't like it. So
that's fair. Todd, what are your thoughts on that trade? And I mean, obviously, it wasn't in your division this time. It was like the Bailey trade was. So, but what were your thoughts on the trade? What are your thoughts on the outlook this year and beyond?
Okay, so the Rams this year, I don't think you're quite a playoff team yet.
Nope.
That's the one thing I'm going to throw out there. But I like what you're building. obviously you had 14 picks in this draft. And a lot of them were defense, and a lot of them were very good defensive players. Like, obviously, Mikel was a little bit of a mess, right? But you had Revis.
That was a big mess, but yeah.
You had Darrell Law. You had Mo Diggs. You had Ben Hawthorne. Those guys are all capable of playing big roles from day one. You had DeAndre Blakely. He's capable of doing things as a rotational guy. Then offense, you got Harrison Byers, who I think when you add him to Rat, I think that gives you a really good 1-2 punch in the backfield. As you said time and time again, your team is set up for a West Coast offense. So, with the 2 running backs, one more of a power guy, one more of a speed threat in Rat, both superstars, both going to grow together, as well as you've got speed threats at receiver. You've got Christian Watson, you've got Jameson Williams, at least for now. Fast for a tight end, DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, Tipa's the starter.
Yeah. But, like, you've got Tipa, you've got DeAndre Hopkins, you've got a perfect setup to play a lot of 12 personnel, which is a West Coast staple.
Yeah.
And as you said, like, that's the scheme you want to run around Art Henry, and you've got the pieces in play. Like, you've got Gator Hampton, too, out of the backfield, who should be able to do a lot of things in the passing game. You've got Chigo Okonkwo, who's lightning fast, too.
Yeah, about that, I don't have Chicken. I cut him.
Oh, you got rid of Chig?
I cut Chig, yeah.
Okay, fair. I mean, fair, you don't need 2 fullbacks.
Well, he was initially he was my tight end or I moved him back last year because I wanted to see what Gator could do tight end. That was a bar on my part. Kept Chig at tight end back, but I mean, yeah, Gator is somebody who doesn't get talked about, not just blocking, but he could be a contributor.
Yeah, like you've got pieces especially on offense that fit together. It's just you got to give them time.
Yeah.
Essentially, and on defense, again, it's like there's a lot of young guys and a couple of holes. Like, if I'm going to start looking at things you need a replacement Larry Ogunjobi. That would be one thing as like your D tackle 2.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose by proxy D tackle 1 with Hawthorne moving to end.
I mean, Ogunjobi probably ton just because the way I have the depth chart set up, he is behind Matthew Ioannidis currently. I think I'm putting Noah third D tackle. Just I want to see. But yeah, Ogunjobi definitely. I feel like Ioannidis and Ogun, it's like insurance. Like they were just for insurance on like the tackle spot because I wanted to get a D tackle in the draft and Hawthorne. I think he hasn't performed well just because probably a better 3-4, but yeah.
Yeah, like I'm looking through your team right now, right? You've got Sauce Gardner. He's not going anywhere.
Nope.
Roquan not going anywhere. Like you've got Jamal Revis, you've got Jason Diablo. Those guys aren't really going anywhere.
Nope.
You've got
Better
Ass
holla at
Alley.
your boy for Diablo if you do.
What'd you say?
Like,
Better holla at your boy before you go to anybody else about Diablo.
Krack, you have my word right now. If I do end up trading Jason Diablo, you're the talking to. You have
it's
my
also
word.
like
Word is bond, Bruise Bros. Word is motherfucking bond.
Yeah.
it's also like I'm pretty sure if the spreadsheet is correct, you have 4 superstar safeties.
Yeah, I mean, Dawson and Watson are low for all guys, but they are superstars. If I don't bring back Jesse Bates, I'm gonna give Dawson a shot at.
Like you've
Bates
got
playing your sub linebacker.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
like
He
your
wasn't at the
team
beginning of
is
the year because I'm stupid, but yeah, I end up putting him there now.
But yeah, I will say I like you trading JFM. I like the return. I like what you did with trading Highsmith. I like how you're building this team for the future. It's just, I think saying playoffs this year was a little ambitious, even with how good Art was in his rookie year.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. And it's like, again, like I said in the previous episode podcast, I'm never going to apologize for having faith in my team. But I can say that maybe my faith was misguided with how young the team is. But I like what we can do like over the next few years. Why I'm not that angry I don't have my first this year, even high first. I mean, literally, I'll tell y'all right now, I don't have that many free agents that are starting, like, upcoming free agents. I think defensively, I only have Bates, who's a free agent after this year. And offensively, I don't think anybody who's currently a starter on the team is in the last year of their contract. Like, looking at the starting O-line, I did have Ted Karras, but I'm cutting him to save some cap space, and he's been garbage anyway. But
where does he play?
I just wait. He's like 78 overall, 30 center. He doesn't really vision as far as like.
I get that.
But it's like literally like most of the players I have. Like obviously Henry has 3 more years, Rat has 2 more years, Gator has 3 more years, J-Mo's locked up for a while, Watson's locked up for a while. I think D-Hop is like the only offensive player who's a contributor who's not in the last year of his contract. It's like my whole line will be back next year. Like Darrisaw's locked up for a bit. Miners, for worse or for better, is locked up for a bit. Jace Culpepper is locked up for 4 years. We'll see what he can do at center. Orbit, I just signed to a free. I'll have like 2 more on all right. And defensively, even the guy, like even the young, like the only person who I really trouble losing is Jesse Bates, and even then it's like, you know, how many people were really looking at Darrell Law? It's like I somehow got him after losing Duggar, so.
Yeah, like the way your team is set up, yeah, you're not good now, but the plan is so clear and obvious, and it looks, or at least from a perspective of this team isn't good. You got the superstar quarterback, you got the 2 superstar running backs, you got the defense, which is full of young pieces that's going to be stacked in 3 years.
Yep.
The plan is clear and obvious to see, and the plan to the roadmap to competing is there. You're just in like step 2 rather than the step 3 or 4 you probably thought you were in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like we're all guilty of this. I was guilty of this last year. I kept going all in with a roster that was quite clearly not the same as the season 1 roster. Like I was there stupidly thinking, oh, we're going back to the bowl, despite trading Cam Jordan, Calais Campbell, what's his name, Zadarius Smith, Keenan Allen, like these guys. Like I lost 4 superstar plus players, and then stupidly went, yeah, we're going back. It's gonna be fine. I'll just keep buying. I'm gonna go trade 2 firsts for Aaron Donald. Like we all can get a little ahead of ourselves and think we're a little further along than we are.
Yeah.
It's just the way you've done it is you might have been a little higher on your team than everyone else, as you probably should be, but you didn't do anything to jeopardize the future while being in that mindset.
Ice. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's already been said.
Fair.
Yeah, obviously, I made Darrell Law. Obviously, we've mentioned him. I'm glad you looked at one of my guys, because I think a lot of people sleep on him because they don't get game film on him.
Yeah, you want to know how I found out about Law, by the way? That motherfucker balled out in the scouting game. So if any fucking, like, I'm talking about like the, more or less the all-star scouting games. Well, I'm just saying, if y'all are not going to watch like the NCAA scouting, when they put these rosters together for like the scouting games, like, you know, the All-American games, more or less, for lack of a better, watch them as that's how I found Jason Diablo too. Pay attention. Pay fucking attention to those things. You will find, like, I'm giving y'all sauce I shouldn't even give y'all, but I'm saying, watch those. I found
Diablo too that way, but I also I didn't like his overall. I didn't get the information he was an X Factor, so that scared me away. His overall scared me away.
Well, I got his X Factor. I don't even think I got anything on him. I just saw him like, you know what? Late round, ain't nobody's looking at fucking Diablo, so it's like, if he's there, I'm gonna trade back into the draft if I need to. I'm getting this motherfucker. I just had a feeling he was gonna go undrafted. And I'm like, bro, this is gonna be one of those guys that FG allows us for that we were overlooking.
Yep.
I mean, that's how I found Michael Ronaldo too, because like, obviously not many people are gonna be looking at a 24-year-old linebacker or background that we have, I think it was 1 game of film on. Like, I saw him as a gem beforehand, but then also saw him in the scouting game and was like, okay, I've got to have him. Dennis Guerrero's overall, so it was 70. And I was like, okay, I don't care where I have to trade up to. I am having him on my team.
Nice. Do you have anything else to say as far as that goes?
Yeah. I'm just interested to see how the rest of your season turns out. Find out whether or not Henry's long-term plan. Maybe we'll get to see Johnston at some point. That'd be fun to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20 season left.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't hate seeing what Johnstone can do if the season's just complete. But also, I don't want to freely give Elmy any top 5 pick. So it's I think Henry would have to be hurt to see Johnstone, and if he gets hurt, we'll see. So I got plenty of youth at quarterback, especially. But I liked what I saw from Johnstone when he, at least back. I mean, I still should have drafted Matt. I have to talk about that. Derrick, one thing I want to say to you real quick. I think you have to thank Icepick for something. Because I talked about this before, actually closer to when the draft happened. It already happened. So, be very thankful for Icepick making Darrell Law as good as he was. Because if I didn't get the information that I got on Darrell Law, you know who I was picking with that last pick in the first?
Tyleek Lewis.
Tyleek Lewis. I had been hooked on Tyleek Lewis well before, literally during mid-season last year. I saw Tyleek Lewis ball out. I'm like, you know what? This might be my Kyle Duggar replacement. But then I was just then after the scouting games happened, I was like, you know what? This is gonna be a big coin. So I'll tell y'all straight up, Krack actually already knows this, I believe. My initial plan for the draft was going Hawthorne, then going Prince Tigget Jones, and then trading back in to try to get either Tyleek or Darrell. Now, I got Hawthorne. I ended up getting tipped by somebody. I'm not going to say who tipped me off about Mo Diggs, but I got tipped up well enough to go with Diggs over Tigget Jones.
I know who.
Yeah, Krack knows who. But, and then Law was there, and I could have just sat back in the second and got Law, because I don't think anybody was actually looking. But it's I was like, you know, I'm not going to take the chance. This dude's a baller. And he's done pretty well this year as far as, getting tackles on. But, yeah, so, that's all I can say, Derek. Just be thankful to Ice for creating Darrell Law. Because if it had not been for Darrell Law, I would have got Tyleek Lewis. Any thoughts as far as what we were talking about going though, Derek?
I mean, you know where you're going. I mean, I might see a little bit of what you're planning, but it all may not seem fully clear. But I'm pretty sure you know where your path is going to go, and I'm going to trust you to do your own path. I've got my path. I think I have my own path going. I don't know.
Hey, you know,
but I told you were going to get your first win against me or something like that, and you're like, no, you're going to win or something.
I mean, I think there was just so much shit going on. I was just like, I'll lose this game to the Texans. And granted, again, I'm not trying to crap on but I was just like, you know what? It wouldn't shock me if I lose. This is a game that I feel like I should win. Of any of the games that I have, I should undoubtedly win. But if I would have lost, I wouldn't have been that shocked with all this other shit. Again, a win is a win.
I wasn't that surprised that we lost.
A win is a win.
I wasn't surprised that we lost.
And I'm proud of how the team played in that. I know, we were scoreless first quarter, second quarter we started turning up. Damn, bro. This is the best team the team has looked all season, and I feel like that game renewed a bit of hope for the season. We'll see how it goes. If I miss the playoffs, I miss it. I definitely think it helped Now, granted, I was never in any position where I wanted to quit. I was not. I'm in this jump for the long haul this season. Like, I mean, knock on wood, nothing happened. Oh, I knocked my fucking backlight out. But anyways, knock on wood. It's gonna take some crazy shit happening for me to consider it. But even then, I'd just take a break if anything. Come back. But I don't know. I think, like, from what you guys are saying in general, and just how the team's set up, with how few free agents I have going this year, I think we could definitely do something next. I don't have my first, but I'm not worried about it. I feel like this past year, even though I've had my obvious misses that we've all talked about before, getting buyers over getting sent over Briggs or Hobbs, like, although Hobbs got picked before I went, I could have gotten early. But despite all my misses, I still feel like I do a much drafting than I have previously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, Almy was just cussing Sports Trap out about Revis. So I'm like, you know what? I'm trading back into the draft to get this motherfucker. We gonna see how he cooks for this. Lo and behold, he ended up being an X Factor. And from Alpo's sims that he's been posting today, I gotta play him on the outside now. So we'll see what happens. Alright, so last topic of the day. I'm gonna try to make this a quick one. This is actually probably gonna be the longest podcast we've had so far. Last week we went over 2 hours. This week we've got 2 hours as well. Biggest surprises, both positive and negative this season. I will start with Derrick, actually.
Okay. Positive that I'm going to say is probably someone that I don't think I was going to probably pick on, but okay. I think for me, one of the biggest positives is I'm going to say it's the Panthers. Panthers, they're doing really, really well, better than expected, even with Jack Hendren in there, proving that he could ball out. That's my positive price. And the worst thing, it's gotta be the Packers being winless.
I'll go to Krack.
Good Icepick.
Okay, Icepick. Ice, who's your biggest surprise? And it can be a player or like a team, honestly, like either way.
Well, my biggest surprise in a good fashion is the Chargers being 3-2. The fact that all four teams at the moment in the AFC West are, within a game, with the Broncos being 4-1 and the other three being 3-2. I don't think anyone saw that coming. And, well, I was going to say the Packers for my negative, but then I'll go to another surprise winless team in the Jets. Yeah. I don't think anyone expected the Jets to be a pride coach team to be 0-5 at this point.
I agree. And
same.
To piggyback off of that, I mean, this just goes back to what I've been saying about pride for the past couple of weeks. That team ain't got no direction. That team ain't got no fucking direction whatsoever. And I feel like pride's kind of in the same boat as me, at worst, because as we talked about in the last segment, there is a direction for my team. It's just taking longer than I thought it was going to, and I feel like I kind of just went to I kind of feel like I had my expectations high too soon. Whereas you look at the Jets roster, they don't really have what do they really have on that roster that you can look at and be like, hey, you know what? This team, obviously, aside from Mo Doyle rules. That goes without saying. But like on both sides of the football, there aren't really a lot of things that I look at. I'm like, you know what? They're gonna be good. I mean, outside of what's his name? Polk. Polk was a good pick. Rest of the draft wasn't great for him though, if we're being honest. I mean, he got McMarion too, but it's like, what McMarion I think is now their third receiver.
Yeah, makes me wonder what would have happened in FGFL 20 if people didn't give Pride X Factors for pennies.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm. My memory from like 2019, 2020 blurry as fuck anyways. I'll go to Todd if Krack needs time. Todd, who are your biggest surprises, positive and negative?
Okay, my biggest positive surprise is the Browns, just in general. The Browns have been absolutely awesome this season. Like, if you look, they only had one pick in this year's draft. And their draft class in year one, outside of Case, Whitmore, Battle, Junk wasn't brilliant.
Nope.
But then again, this season, seemingly the difference was the year of development of Case plus Tyreek Archie was good enough for him to justify trading Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short and sweet on that. And I'll go to my negative surprise. The Saints / the play of Tim Bradford. Because like, their only win was a 16-10 win over the Saints. Not the Saints, the Falcons, who also were not good last year. Like, obviously, they've lost a couple squeakers in there. They lost by 3 to the Dolphins, who they also could have been up there for a surprise. They got absolutely blown back by the Giants with Justin Washington on the center.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they lost this week in an absolute heartbreaker to the Titans, who also don't look the best. And they lost by 5 to the Food.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think the Saints would not be 1-4. You'd probably expect them to be 3-2 out of that stretch.
Yeah.
And the main problem has been Tim Bradford, good as a rookie, has been absolutely terrible as a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, can I throw something in here about Bradford?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, earlier in the podcast where I talked about the traits, Bradford also does not have tight spiral.
Yikes.
Chet doesn't have it either, though, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering if with the mod, this gameplay mod, if tight spiral is a huge thing to have.
So does Henry have tight spiral?
I don't think he has it either.
Yikes. I'm gonna stick with him this year, though.
He does not.
That's rough.
Johnston has it, though.
Saying is I need to start Dom. I don't know if I want to do his awareness and his injuries scare the shit out of me.
Sam Darnold has it.
Alright, so what you're saying is I need to actually trade for Sam Darnold. Does Darnold have the mentor tag? Because I might actually fuck around and consider that.
I really don't know. That would.
I don't have that on it.
I don't think.
I'm at SFG.
I was also going to say Wade also has it, but he has conservative on his force pass. So.
I mean, I think in that case, I'd just put practice squad and trade. See if he has the mentor tag, because that was like the only saving grace about having Jimmy. I'm pretty sure he has the tag. But Krack, how about you?
This one's gonna kill me. Mine's kind of a mix of a player and a team, and God, it's gonna kill me. Delgado and the Dolphins are my biggest surprise. I know they're not perfect records, but I have their first, and I was banking on a top 10 draft pick. I don't think it's going to happen. I still think Delgado's a running back, but with losing Ice, Pokemon has still managed to stay afloat, if not improve early with losing Icepick. Everybody kind of thought he would be dead in the water. You can go Pepperjack, but to me, that's a fluke. It's still early in the year. I think that's Hobie's, and I still think the Bengals have a chance. They got talent, so I don't think Pepperjack's going to be there at the end. I'd like to see him do a little bit more because his chaoticness obviously makes for some great memes and some great content. But me personally, and maybe some other people aren't as surprised because they were Delgado fans, and I'm obviously a hater. But that's my surprise is them for the positive. So shout outs to Pokemon. Did a good job. I'm not gonna lie. I knew I was giving him a good wide receiver in Debo. Kind of felt like I dodged a bullet with the fleecing by getting Forrest and the draft picks that I did. He was offering me Osa. Osa's been looking really damn good, so maybe I just didn't know what I was seeing there. So got to give it to him. And disappointments, you could go with the Jets. I mean, I kind of saw. I didn't think they necessarily own 5, but I could see they weren't going to be doing nothing in the division unless they hit the draft, which I think Pride has all the talent in the world to hit the draft. He definitely had the draft picks. He held on to his veterans that he really didn't need, and I was one of the biggest people giving him shit because he wasn't trading to me. And it wasn't just because he wasn't trading to me; it's because he thought they were worth way more, even after FG said they're not worth that. He should have seen that he wasn't going to get past the Bills, and that wasn't his year, and he should have got rid of the people for whatever he could to continue to build this team for this year. I think there's an easy chance he has a quick turnaround. It could still be early in the year. I don't think he's built to win. I think if he makes some smart trades and takes what he can once again on some aging, expiring contracts, he can set himself up to come back next year really strong. So I'm going to have to go in that division and almost split it. I like trolling, but I don't like seeing meltdowns. I was disappointed with the Lance situation and the meltdown after that game. I didn't understand it. It actually wasn't, from what I heard, it wasn't my trolling. So please, people don't always think it's me. No more mod meetings.
Krack's
for that.
not a bad
Have some
person,
mods in
okay?
here.
Like
I actually like Lance because he can give it back just as much as he can take it. I don't know what's going on outside. Always here if they need to talk. I mean, I got stuff going. I've tried to reach out to you when you said you were kind of down. We make some emotional decisions. That's kind of also why I didn't like your trade. It felt it was with all the emotional stuff you had going on. We've all seen it. We're all humans. This is where we come to relax. If I ever take stuff too far, somebody can always reach out to me and I'll apologize 100% heart to heart because this is a great community.
I can vouch.
You guys have welcomed me
vouch. Heavy vouch
Yes.
on that.
So, and that's everybody. I mean, I've made my mistake with the Eagles and reached out to him. That's kind of why, I wanted to give him grief more, but he's come back killing it. But I don't like what happened to the Patriots, and the main reason is because my biggest disappointment is the Bills, and I'm loving it. Ba-ba-da-da-da. But I don't know if it's sustainable. And the one thing is, I love that Q took Waddle because that seems to be the missing piece there with all that talent. They're missing Waddle, and I love it. The Q doesn't know nothing, just likes the Waddle and his butt shake, likes his little twerk. And he got a great return. Don't get me wrong, he definitely got great. Alpo, if you don't win this year, you need to rethink your strategy because you are too bright and too great at putting teams together to not have a bowl out of these last 3 years.
Right.
Stop trying to get the most X factors and the top speeds. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to help you. Keep doing what you're doing, pimp. It's making for great content for me. I hope you get the very first overall pick again this year so you can choke and lose in the bowl game again. I would love to see that. That dude is a freaking building machine. He doesn't realize he's getting in his own way. So they're the biggest disappointment because I expected them to be. We had a lot of undefeated teams going into week 6, 7 last year. I believe we had 3 or 4.
I know.
I think I really think they should have been one of them that was at least 4-1. Not what they're 3-2, right? I know it's only one loss, but I expected more out of them. They've looked So that's my disappointments personally, but it's in a good disappointment because it's giving me content that I love and I'm laughing.
So my biggest positive surprise is going to really shock a lot of people. So it's not. So my biggest positive surprise first, and let me tell you why it's the Colts. Because it just seemed like I know they were the 1 seed in the AFC last year. They were very close to getting to the bowl, but just seeing how SG was taking his having a poor draft, the Sparacio pick was just end up being. I can see where he was trying to go with that because Sparacio and Morris were really nasty in Miami. But there were so many better running backs that were there. We've already had this conversation. But it's I really didn't feel like the Colts got that much better this offseason, and yet now they're 4-1, sitting at the top with the Steelers, Browns, Dolphins, and Broncos. And not a lot of people are really talking about them just because, like, you know, SG was also, I'm not going to put out too much of his business, but he was, like, going through some things too. But I'm glad to, like, as much as I hate the Colts IRL, I'm glad to see SG. Like, SG, for all the things you can say about him, he's a good guy. Definitely a good guy. A biggest disappointing surprise, however, I mean, obviously I could talk about the Rams. I don't think a lot of people are surprised by that. Saints have already been talked about. We already talked about the Packers. We already talked about the Jets. My biggest surprise is the Ravens being one. Like, I don't feel like the Ravens have that much worse of a team than last year. And I know the division got so much better. Obviously, Pepperjack clearly has proven that Daduka did mean on the rise, because he is on the motherfucking rise right now. We'll see what happens the rest of the season, but 4-1, nobody thought the Bengals or the Browns were going to be. You know, Hobie, obviously, it was always going to be a matter of time before Hobie turned. Well, Rainbow is in the same boat as me, whereas, like, his team has so much potential. He has a very young team. Got 2 really good running backs in Faria and Kamalani John. And obviously Drake London, you know, Krack, you were talking about your game earlier. Drake London was cooking early in that game. So it's like Rainbow has his number 1 receiver. BJ John will be a good number. He has Jalen Shark. So much talent on the team. But, like, going back to the Ravens,
tight end is scary once he gets rid of Kittle, trades, or doesn't re-sign him. Oof, that tight end is scary.
It's a wrap. But, I mean, I just expected the Ravens to be a lot better than 1 now. And I know Spectre isn't happy about it either. But, I mean, it doesn't help that everybody else in the division is doing so well. Hopefully he turns it around. Spec, you won't turn it around, pimp. We gonna be alright. We gonna be alright. Okay. So before we end we're at 2.5 hours now. I mean, it's gonna be a quick upload. It's like so. So before we end, I just got a few things to say, and I'll let everybody get their final words in as well. Starting this week, I'm gonna be uploading highlights that I commentate over to this channel. FG has sent me the VODs for week 1, both Witching Hour VODs and the week 2 VOD. So I'm gonna be working on that along with the rest of my regular content. I think I'll get the first one up on either Tuesday or Wednesday. I still got to work on my own stuff too. It's like I'm gonna get that up sometime this week, and we're just gonna try to get those. Just so get more eyes on the league and we get more maybe potential coach. And I think it'll definitely help the channel grow. I mean, I got a vision for it, so that's one. The other announcement is I'm back commentary. I don't know if I'm gonna be calling it games, maybe I'll color commentary, but I'm back, y'all. I'm still going through things here and there, but it's like, you know what, we handling it better. I'm back in the booth this week also. Get ready for that. So we'll just get some final words from the guys in here. I appreciate all 4 of you guys being in here. A little disappointed we couldn't get Husker, but I think, you know, it's always great having. But we'll go to you, Krack. Any last words for the week's pod?
To actually keep it simple, I mean, obviously we've had a couple little weird things happen recently. Once again, guys, if you guys going through something, I know you don't always want to talk about it. I didn't say crap, and sometimes it's good to, sometimes it doesn't. Reach out to any one of us. You don't have to tell us to like spread it out. We ain't going to say it, you know, what is, or, you know, this is a community to like unite people to be here. I mean, you've seen FG on, you know, stream tell people, hey, love you, you know, if you need me, holler at me, you know, much love. Like, it really is. This is a place to have fun, but it's also sometimes, you know, men to men, you need to talk, or I mean, you know, woman to woman, or them to them, they to they. Sorry if I messed that up, but like, we're here to talk. So reach out to us, any one of us, even as trolls or, the nicest people like Todd. I mean, Todd's voice is very soothing. It helps put me to bed at night when he's whispering dirty things in my ear. Just reach out to us. Let us know, because we'd much rather, if you need to take a couple weeks off or maybe just be lurking or something, we'd much rather that happen than you leave because of a misconstrued comment. I've been guilty of thinking I needed to leave too, but I reached out to FG when I thought maybe, crap was wrong and I wasn't, whatever. So you guys obviously like the trolls because you guys keep voting me at the end of the year. I don't do it to really piss. It's not intentional for anybody. I actually really like everybody here. I do it for people like the people I troll the most are probably the people I troll the most, except for Alpo. I don't hate him. It's just he's a big competitor, so I gotta troll him. Don't dislike him. He's a Buckeye fan. Come to us, guys. Like, all seriousness, come to us, talk to us, or just, hey guys, I'm gonna step away for a couple weeks. Got something to do. Cool, we get that. And then Blover, you did it. You got me the dub. Love ya.
Let's go, Blover.
And Faye killed it in the booth.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to say real quick. I'm so glad Faye is a part of this community. Like, I've known Faye for like the last year. It was actually very involved in CGW. And it's great to see them like this community because Faye's just fun. Faye's definitely a very, very good.
Yeah.
Colony bruv, any final thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts are, honestly, I'm just so glad of how well we're evolving as a league. Like, obviously it's always been a very tight ship, but like all the content coming out now, especially thanks to you, Kaz, it is really flying. And like, also, thank God we got you back in the booth next week, so we don't have to deal with that fucking bloody Welsh person waffling on all stream all the way through a game.
Shit's colony, bro. I think we're getting CJ back too. Possibly.
Oh, thank God, we don't have to deal with the CJ impersonator anymore.
Go. Icepick, any last thoughts, my brother?
And I'd be glad to have you back with me this week. And I'm ready to watch some more games, honestly.
Me too, bro. I'm very fucking excited for Tuesday and Thursday. Because Thursday, I eat my food. I know my team is probably going to be 1-5. We can beat them. I know we're either going to be 2-4 or 1-5. 1-5. If FG puts Niners, Seahawks, or Rams, Seahawks on the vote, please fucking vote for that game. That's beef of the week material right there. I've been calling Octi food all season. I know he want a piece of me too, so we're going to see if I eat my food or I get eaten by my food, okay? Derrick, any last thoughts?
Hey, anything could happen.
Amen to that.
Could happen. Who knows? Who knows what could? That's it. I got really nothing.
I feel you. You're good. Well, I would like to thank all you guys for watching or listening to this past 2.5 hours. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys go hit that sub button. Definitely come fuck with us. So FGFL, FG will stream on this channel from Monday through Thursday. We have scouting games for NCAA for the potential draft prospects every Monday and Wednesday, and then Tuesday and Thursday have. So definitely come check us out. We usually FG goes live around 9, and it's a good time. It's a lot of fun. We be clowning the shit out of each other, but it's all love. I guess I'll plug my stuff as well. Make sure you guys go sub to me. I actually have a lot more content coming out this week. Continuing my Buffalo Dynasty on NCAA 07. Starting up my Lions franchise on Madden 07. Definitely come check that out. Eventually I'll be back on streaming. So links to everything will be down in the description. So again, thank you guys so much for watching Spilled Koolaid podcast. You guys have just a great rest of your day, night, whatever the hell you're watching or listening to this. Like I always say, no matter what happens, keep that mofo rolling. Love y'all 3000. Probably 5,000.
And you
I don't know
never
why I
know what
did
the
that.
flavor is.